Here we go.
Monday night, October the 13th, Monday Night Football. Frankie from Flatbush. It is 2000 hours here on the East Coast of America. We'll be keeping track of the Bears and Commanders game. We'll be tracking the quarterbacks in that game. But before we do all of that, we usually like to listen to the Frank.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to his stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway hum, the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
Hi, Karate is here. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hi, Karate. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me okay out there in internet land. Currently looking at Joe Buck and Troy Aikman yakking it up before the game. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Let me know if we're all good out there. Audio, yeah, should be okay. Should be good to go. But let me know if you can hear me out there. Hi, Karate. I'd appreciate it. You never know with technology. You just never know. So we'll be taking a look at these quarterbacks. We got Caleb Williams. We got Caleb Williams tonight against the Commanders, and we got Jayden Daniels. So two of the more, shall we say, exciting quarterbacks in the league. Karate says sounds good. All right. Very good. These young quarterbacks, Caleb has struggled a little bit more than Jayden. So it'll be interesting to see what Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams have cooking tonight, considering they had a week off. They had their bye. Now should have a good game plan in place for the first overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, Caleb Williams. And we'll see if it looks like the Bears have their franchise quarterback or not just yet. Of course, we won't be able to tell that from just tonight. But if he has a great game, that'll be a good sign for him and Mr. Ben Johnson. Whereas Jayden Daniels is a little bit more established. People have really high hopes for him. And of course, Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator there and play caller. So a good combination there. Of course, now in the NFL, we did have breaking news earlier in the afternoon. The Tennessee Titans have fired their head coach. If you missed it, Brian Callahan, he's out of there. They said, get out of here, Callahan. And so now they're going to begin a new search. They fired Mike Vrabel. They fired Rand Carthon. They fired Brian Robbins, whatever his name was, Robinson, the GM. They hired a bunch of people. Now they're firing people. Seems like the Titans are on a little bit of a Jetsian trajectory with all of this chaos going on in Tennessee. They have named an interim head coach, of course, Mike McCoy, whoever he is. And so we'll have to see what goes on down there. That was really the big news. As far as the Jets are concerned, the only big news is really Garrett Wilson's knee. If you missed it, it's a hyperextended knee per Adam Schefter. That actually means a mild, probably strain of the PCL, most likely. And he's going to be out 1 to 2 to 3 weeks. So it's not tragic, but not great either. He's going to miss probably at least one game. We'll get confirmation of that from Coach Glenn on Wednesday. I would say it's almost certain that he misses one game, but then we have another game and then we have a bye. So it might be that he misses 2 games and comes back after the bye, which would be, a pretty good scenario. Anytime you're talking about, injuries. JoJo is here. JoJo, why is the I9U showing up on your thing now? That's what I'd like to know. So, of course, the other hot topic of the day is, should the Jets fire Aaron Glenn? That's what JoJo is referring to. And my whole thing is, well, we knew this wasn't going to be pretty in the beginning. I don't know why anybody thought it would be. I was trying to tell people to have a little patience. Not sure, just noticed that. Yeah, as you can see, like your name used to come up, JoJo Townsell. Now it's Townsell-I9U. So not sure, but who knows? I mean, frickin' YouTube, who knows what the hell's going on, JoJo? They could be trying something out. Who knows? But, the idea is, well, hey, we should fire Aaron Glenn. He had a terrible game against Denver. Game management, no good at all. No good, very bad. But my thing is, we got to hope he can improve. It's not fun. It's not good to say. It's not sort of what the fan base wants to hear. And believe me, the comments on my video, I know what's going on. But the fact of the matter is, we're not going to get a really good coach. We have to hope we can develop one over time. That's what we hoped with Solid. Didn't work. That's what we hoped, with Todd Bowles. He didn't quite work, and took him, a different situation to get situated down there in Tampa and all this. But that's where we are. That's what the situation is with our franchise. And it's just the reality of our circumstance. This is not a coveted job. Let's say that. People are saying that the Tennessee job, now that they got rid of Callahan, that Tennessee job is coveted. I'm not so sure. Number one, we're not sure about Cam Ward. He might be a total bust. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, sort of like Zach Wilson level, and so far. And that ownership group, ever since Amy Strunk, whatever her name is, took over the ownership group, all she done is fire people left, right, and center. So are we really sure that that's a good job? I don't think so. So there are 2 games tonight. JoJo reminds us that there is an Atlanta-Buffalo game. We're not paying attention to that game. I had to choose one of the games. So he says the Falcons are getting in on Josh Allen. Well, that's good. Now the Falcons have spent a long time and a lot of draft picks on their defense over these last 2-3 years, and now they finally have a really good unit in terms of personnel. So I saw them play, I think, 1 or 2 games this year. They can be pretty ferocious with all the dudes that they have. So that's good. Of course, we would prefer the Falcons win that game. And then, the Falcons are trying to find out about Michael Penix. And Penix has been, sort of up and down. The guy has unbelievable arm talent. If he can ever be consistent with his accuracy, Michael Penix is going to be very, very good. But it remains to be seen if he can be consistent game over game, drive over drive, throw after throw with his accuracy. That's the main thing for him. But he has amazing arm talent. Very fun to watch when he's on, for sure. So that's what they got to hope. And then, not in the strongest division in the world. And, um, they're just hoping all the people that they drafted and brought in on defense, they get a really strong defensive unit. And then Penix is good enough. So they're doing some sort of strange national anthem type thing from the end zone. The cheerleaders, and then you got a U.S. Navy petty officer, first class. I think he's going to sing it. Yep. So we got that going on. We got a couple of Monday night games going on at the same time. You can't cover them all. You can't cover them all. So, yeah, you can't cover them all. And also, sometimes when you wear the headphones too much, they get a little bothersome. But we'll cover some of them. And the idea of covering these people live is to improve the quarterback ranking system that we have, the quarterback grading system. As we see here, Johnny Mirajail has joined as a YouTube member. I would suggest everybody follow Johnny's lead and become a member because we're developing this quarterback grading system, and it's working out great to tell us who's really good, who's really bad, who's all hype, who's throwing little 5-yard passes and getting statistical advantages of their runners running a lot, and who's actually passing the ball well. And that's really the idea. And then we will apply it to the college kids because it's pretty obvious the Jets definitely need a quarterback. And they'll probably need some help in picking the right one. So that's why we are the Jets unpaid scouting department. We're going to help out and tell them by the end of the year which one of these guys is the one we want. Now, we probably need a bucket, although if we have the first pick in the draft, we just need to know one. So we'll have to see about that. And but nonetheless, that's what we're doing. That's why we have the live quarterback grading system. We keep track of all this. We give the grades, and that's how we do it. And as you can see, we got live grading right here on a sheet of paper. It's old-fashioned. It tells you what's the great throw, what's the elite throw, elite, great, solid, routine, bad, interceptable throwaways. Has other things on it as well. And as the game goes on, you just put a tick mark next to it. It's very simple. And there's other aspects. If you want to keep track of all the aspects of quarterbacking, you can do so in the system. That's up to you. I have found that just keeping track of the throws gives you everything you want in terms of decision making, reading defenses, how fast the ball comes out, a pocket manipulation, all of that. If you're consistently making great and elite throws, you're going to be doing all of that. It's hard to do badly at those things and then start making elite throws. That doesn't work that way. So I just grade the throws, and it gives me all I need to know. Plus, the other thing is like the running and the pocket manipulation and the speed, running speed, and charisma, and all these things you could grade. Those don't change from game to game. Justin Fields is going to be a great runner every single game. There's no game where he's not going to be fast and quick and can run like the wind. So you don't really need to grade that on a game-to-game basis. But what you do need to grade is the throws. That's what varies the most from game to game. So that's how we do it. For those who might be curious, Justin Fields graded out as C- for throwing in the last game, and part of the reason he wasn't F-, C- is right next to F- in my system. But he just barely made C-. But the only reason he didn't get F- is because most of the things he did wrong was holding on to the ball And of course, I don't grade that in the system. If I did, he'd be F minus for that game, obviously. But you can also make notes if you want about that, which, you know, plug it in either way. So it's a pretty flexible system. I like it. We're developing it. We're trying it out, and we'll use the chat to help out when necessary. Because probably the biggest problem with the system is, if you want to know the truth, sometimes it's hard to, even though there's definitions on here. Sometimes it's hard to grade. They throw these passes deep, for example. They underthrow it. Is that an elite throw? No. But the guy catches it, or you get a DPI. It's a positive for the team, but was it really a great throw? And so you do have some of that going on. And so uh, that's probably, the hardest part of the system. All right. So the game looks like it's getting going. So we're going to move this over here. Move the chat over here. Put this on the big screen. And we'll keep track of this. They got Josh Harris on the field. He's the owner of the Commanders, the main owner. And he is beloved by the fans as opposed to our owner, which is not beloved by the fans. So we'll see how we do. We'll see how we do. All right. So the Commanders will kick off to the Bears. So it'll be Caleb Williams up first in an NFC battle from Washington, D.C. Well, actually, they're in Maryland. They will be in Washington, D.C. once they get their new stadium built, in the next few years. But for the time being, they're in Maryland. So they're the Maryland Commanders, really. And the Falcons are leading the Bills 21-7, perhaps surprisingly. Bills Mafia got to be a little concerned these last few weeks here. They're slipping a little bit. Game's not over, of course. And you can never, ever count out Josh Allen. And does seem to be some weather here in Chicago. Caleb starts from his own 30-yard line, starts with a run up the middle, and running back gains about 2 yards. Not too great. Now, they spent a lot of money on upgrading the offensive line. The left tackle is Theo Benedette. Might be a problem, but then they got Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson. That's where they spent a lot of money. And they drafted the right tackle, of course, number 10 overall. And I think he's been a little bit of a disappointment anyway. They also have lots of weapons on this team. They have Rome Madunze. They got the tight ends. They got all these people. Caleb back to pass. Oof. Now, what do you grade that? Guy caught it, but this is not a good pass, so I'm going to give bad pass on this. I think the other weakness in this system, to be honest, is there's different types of bad passes. This is a man. You know what? Looking at it, it's a routine pass, and I'm going to give him a routine on that. It was within reach. So, all right, now Caleb fakes the handoff. Is running. I don't know what the point of that was. Give him another routine. JoJo says, kind of sucks seeing all these other teams with new modern stadiums and Jets staying. Yeah, the Jets will be staying at MetLife until 2109. So no chance of us moving anywhere. So we're stuck with that. One of the many reasons why the job of head coach or GM is not very attractive. Many, many reasons. That's just one. All right, Caleb now under center. They got a condensed formation 3-by-1, and they run the ball up the middle with Swift, and he gets a first down. So the Bears have been moving the ball here pretty well. A couple of routine throws, couple of runs. DeAndre Swift, good blocking by the offensive line, good push. Excellent job there. Ricky Luvu's on this defense, former Jet, of course, makes a tackle on that one. Levmo is here. Motherfucking FSPN and K Frank. Yeah, you got it, Havmo. We're rocking and rolling. All right. Caleb Williams now back to pass out of the shotgun, drops it off. This is a nicely designed screen, something the Jets don't do at all. Over to Swift, nicely done. Nice design, well executed. The Jets, I don't think, have run a screen the entire season. I could be wrong about that. You might want to ask Tanner Engstrand, are you aware that you can run screens? That might be something that the beat might want to get on. There's a thing called screens. You could run them. All these other clubs run them. Perhaps we might want to try it one time, Tanner. Now Caleb Williams is under center, man in motion. He flips it out to the running back. That is not Swift. That's the other one. I probably should have reviewed these rosters to understand them a little better, but whoever that is got a few yards. I think it's Manangai, if I'm not mistaken. And the Falcons continue to lead the Billionaires 21-7 with 8:09 remaining in the second. 0-0 here in the as the Commanders face off against the Bears. And the Bears have it on the plus 30-yard line. Here's another run to Swift, but this one gets stopped up pretty good. Loss of 1. I kind of like these Commander uniforms, the all dark. I kind of like them. Numbers on the on the helmets, old-fashioned looking. I kind of like them. Not the greatest uniform of all time, but I kind of like them. That was a zone read, it looked like. Yeah, it was, and handed it off to Swifty. So now it is 3rd down and 4. Caleb out of the shotgun. He's got a 2-by-2 formation, moves the running back to his left. They bring the blitz. Here's a throw over the middle. Terrible pass. Ooh, Caleb. Those are the kind of situations you want to see high level quarterback play. Didn't see it there. Money down. They call 3rd down the money down. That's what we always are watching. It's another probably fault in this system too. It doesn't give you the high leverage situations. It's much more important to make a great throw in a high leverage situation than it is on 1st down per se. So no system's going to be perfect. Jake Moody now in, formerly of the 49ers. They cut him for missing too many kicks. So now he's in for the Bears, and he nails it, looks like. Formerly of the University of Michigan, he's got it. So 3-0 Bears. But the drive bogged down. So now we'll get Jayden Daniels. So basically the tally for Caleb so far, 3 routine, 1 bad. That's what we got as we go to commercial. JoJo says, we always hire offensive coaches with one system, no adaptability to change. Yeah. But I think it's a symptom of the great coaches are the ones who can do what you're saying, like be adaptable. Those are the great ones. Do the great ones want to work here? We hire these defensive coaches, and then they hire the head coach, and then they hire the OC. Well, they got to go out, then hire somebody who wants to be here. You know what I'm saying? So it's part of the same problem. I actually had a thought. Let me know in the chat. This was a random thought I had. Ready for this one? We're in commercial. Open your minds real wide. What if Woody said, you know what the problem is? The problem is, Woody wouldn't say this. I'm going to scrap it. There's no way out. There's no way out. There's no way out. There's no way out. Woody's not selling the team. I was going to say, what if Woody moved the team? He's not moving the team. It's just so unrealistic. I don't even want to pose the question. We're not moving the team, and we're going to be in New Jersey for the next 100 years. No one wants to live and work in New Jersey. No one wants to work for Woody. No one wants to work for a losing franchise that loses. Nobody wants to work in a stadium like that or, have that be the stadium. The facility is pretty nice in Florham Park. No problems with that, but it is in New Jersey. It's a high tax state with very little received in terms of benefit for your high taxes. You can't even pump your own gas. And if you shake hands with one of these Jersey girls, you get mononucleosis. So it's not exactly a destination that you want to be at. Bijan, they're showing Bijan Robinson reeled off a huge run. One of the best running backs in all of football. Bijan put a little mustard on the Dijon with Bijan. So things going well for Ulbrich and Raheem Morris with the Atlanta Falconians against your Buffalo Bills. And you got to think the Buffalo Bill fan, little worried, little bit worried, little bit. Because one thing is for sure, I can tell you. So High says, no, I would be crushed. If the Jets moved, you mean? Because I was thinking if he sold the team, or what if he thought, because my thought process was like, what if he thought the fans were the problem? And he's like, what can I do about these stupid, toxic fans? And he's like, I know, I'll move them to St. Louis. Like St. Louis would be a logical place to move the team, right? Because they used to have a franchise. It's sort of like, a big enough population, so forth and so on. But the question would be, would you still follow the team? That was what I was going to ask. Would you still follow the team if it were the St. Louis Jets, or something like that? But it's not going to happen. But it's an interesting thought experiment. Would you actually continue supporting the team if it moved to St. Louis or somewhere else? All right, Jayden Daniels now in the shotgun. We got 12 personnel. It looks like 12 or 13 personnel. They hand it off to McCroskey. Gets a couple of yards. I don't know, Havmo. I don't live there. I suppose so. I mean, they're probably going to stand there till you tip them. I mean, they did you a quote unquote service. I would guess so, Havmo. I don't know. I'm not getting any gas in New Jersey. You're crazy. I pump my own gas, brother. All right, Jayden Daniels now in the shotgun. Looking, nope, false start. That's not going to work. So they'll back him up, back the truck up, back it up, fellas. Alex Moore, first season as NFL referee. So we got a rookie. Got a rookie on the field as the ref. Rookie ref on the field. See how many mistakes he makes tonight. Montez Sweat. This Chicago team is supposed to have a good defense. They invested heavily on the defensive line. They got good linebackers. They should be good. No reason why not. Jayden now back to pass. Looks to his left. Ooh. A little dangerous, but we'll give him a routine on that one. About a 10-yard, 11-yard gain. So JoJo says no, not follow Woody and the Jets. Would hope for a new team and owner. Take the New York away from the Jets. I'm done. So that's two who say nope, not following the team to St. Louis. Well, it's not enough people in the chat to really get a good feel for it, but probably a lot of people feel the same. All right, zone read. Jayden keeps it and gets 2 yards, so not a successful play there. Washington is first in yards per game and yards per rush this season. Chicago defense 31st and 32nd against the rush. That's got to be perplexing to Ben Johnson. They have good personnel. Not sure why they're not performing better. They have solid personnel on that defense. I don't know. Daniels now getting the rush, gets it off. That's a bad throw. But at least he got rid of it. Flag on the play. Flag on the play. At least he got rid of it, though, as opposed to some other quarterbacks we know that when you blitz them, their brain, freezes up. JoJo says, at this point, hopefully Christopher. Yeah, that's probably true, JoJo, where that's our best hope. Christopher takes over, and he's better than Woody. People like him. All the reports are people do like him better. So they called roughing the pussy on this one. That's a bullshit call. Let them fucking play. Roughing the pussy. That's a foul. You can't rough any pussies here. But he still gets a bad throw on my system, though. He doesn't get away with that because we don't have to keep it square with the box score. All right. Daniels now in the shotgun, puts a man in motion, 2-by-2 formation, throws underneath. Very easy throw, routine. Should make that every time. Todd is here. Look, Jojo, this is happening with Todd's username too. We're noticing some of the YouTube usernames, Todd, are coming through as what do you call it? The actual name instead of the screen name or whatever. This is happening with Jojo as well. So don't know what's going on. Lord only knows. Now Daniel's in the shotgun again, 2nd and 6, hands it off to the RB, and he gets a few yards. That's a good play by the Bears defense there. Yeah, over in Atlanta, the Falcons are beating the Bills 21-7 with 2 minutes now remaining in the second quarter. So without knowing what's going on, they might go into the half up by 14. That would be a surprising development and quite a concerning one. Don't forget, the Bills lost to the Patriots last week, I believe it was. And the Patriots, of course, are on the rise, in case you didn't know. Here's another routine pass over to Debo, but he's able to squirm around for a first down. That's why you got the Debo man. He's good at squirming. Very squirmy. Jojo says, probably just YouTube tinkering around. Yeah, they tinker around with our lives, Jojo. Oh, that was a natural pick, or might have even been called a pick. I would have called it. I don't think there should be picks in football, like basketball, but that's just me. You're allowed to do it within 1 yard, as we learned one of these games, again, where the Kansas City got away with it. But you are allowed to, so it's illegal at 2 yards, but at 1 yard, it's totally legal and fine. Explain that one to me. 1 yard, oh no, that's an unfair advantage. I mean, oh no, you're okay. But 2 yards, unfair advantage. So that's a great rule. Great fucking rule. NFL, or should I say NWL, the National Wuss Ball League. 6:23 remaining in the first quarter, and the Commanders are on the march. Samuel in motion, fake the handoff to the running back, throws downfield, and it's picked by Jaquan Brisker. That was a terrible, terrible, terrible pass. No bueno. Mr. Daniels, interceptable and intercepted, and he brought it back about 40 yards. Quan, as they call him, I think Quani, they might call him. Jaquan Brisker had an open man. He had his tight end wide open. He decided to force it into Debo, and he's saying that's my fault. Yeah, of course it was your fault, dum-dum. So, not good for Mr. Daniel. So let's see how he responds to that one. And as I was saying, they were marching down the field. They were getting in field goal position. They were thinking about scoring a touchdown. Then he throws an interception. So that's not good. That is not good at all. So Caleb will come back, and as we saw, sort of similar drives, right? They drove it down, everything looking good. Then on third down, Caleb threw an incompletion. That's better, of course. And Daniels threw an interception. So similar in that as they're driving down, then one mistake, and it bogs down. Yeah, but my question to JoJo and Todd would be, why doesn't it happen to Haikarate? Haikarate has his screen name here with no numbers at the end. JoJo has numbers at the end. Todd has numbers at the end. We need answers. And what about old Havmo? Havmo got nothing at the end. I mean, Havmo 63, that's his screen name. That's not extra. How come Havmo don't got no extra? How come Haikarate got no extra? What's going on with that? Huh? That's what we need to know. That's what we need to know around here. Boy, oh boy. These quarterbacks. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And people are saying on X that, the Bills' defense stinks. At some point, McDermott is going to get on the hot seat. They have not been able, they focused so much on the defense this offseason, and it's still not good. I don't understand it. Some people are saying drive one, Caleb Williams still does not look comfortable in the offense. That's not good coming off a bye, and especially on the first drive of the game, which is the scripted drive. Well, these young people, you never know. I mean, look how long it took Spencer Rattler. He's finally seeming like he's settling in. Took him forever. Todd says, who will be the Jets' next head coach? Well, we'll find out in 3 or 4 years, Todd. All right, Caleb Williams now under center. Puts a man in motion and fakes a handoff. They got a blitz coming. They pick it up pretty well. Throws it downfield, and boy, that is a terrible throw. Why can't he throw it properly? That was completely underthrown. Throw it out there. I don't think Caleb is good at throwing the deep ball. I could be wrong, which means he's never going to be elite or even great. To be elite or great, you got to throw the deep ball properly. That one right there is severely underthrown. So that goes down as bad. I mean, I could have given him interceptable on that, but I gave him a bad. That's taking it easy on him. Now he throws it out to DJ Moore on a little smoke screen. That's something else we could do. Engstrand. We never do. You know who'd be good with that? Arian Smith. He's supposed to be fast, you know. They told me Arian Smith was fast, but we've so far in 6 games we've thrown him 5 passes in 6 games, even though he's on the field a lot. All right, now Caleb's under center. They bring a tight end into the backfield. We got 11 personnel on the field. Zacharias now in motion right to left. Hand it off to Manangai Gila, whatever his name is, and he gets about 3 or 4 yards. Not too shabby. Jojo says, how many years will they? Yeah, right. This is kind of the question. At some point, yeah, his name is Kyle Manangai. I thought so. 5'8", from New Jersey. We should have taken this kid. But that's really if the Bills, now this game is it's early in the season, but if the Bills stumble again this year, that's the question people are going to ask. Caleb looking over the middle, guns it. Oof. Now that's a completion, but I mean, it was kind of behind. This was a decent throw. I guess I'll give him a solid. Let's see how far downfield. Can I get a replay? Let's run it. 5, 10, 15, 7. Behind, though. See, these ones that are behind, but they're receptions, I'm not sure how to grade them. I'm going to give him a solid. Could have been better, but it was catchable, so he gets solid. All right, Williams now throws a little tight end screen. That didn't go anywhere. That's a routine. But this is the question. They have this superstar. If the defense fails them again, and don't forget, McDermott is a defensive coach. Supposed to be a specialty. They loaded up on personnel in the draft and free agents. They just kept drafting defense. Why the hell isn't the defense any good? Well, let's see what happens over the course of the year. But if that turns out to be the case, I think McDermott's got to be on the hot seat at some point. But then again, they're moving into a new stadium. That's a routine throw. So they're moving into a new stadium next year. Do they want to fire the coach and have turmoil before they move into their brand new facility, which, by the way, a lot of the people are having the same. Oh, there's a flag on the play. On the offense. Pass interference. Sorry, Loveland. That wasn't a very lovely play by you because you interfered, Mr. Loveland. Oh, that's a bullshit call. Stop calling bullshit, dummies. Thank you. Because I mean, I would think it's next year. He's not going to get fired this year. I don't think. They gotta, but people are upset. Ooh, bad throw. People are upset about that new stadium because they got PSLs. Like, remember that whole thing with the MetLife? So they got PSLs, and then on top of which are expensive, and then on top of that, you got to buy the season tickets, which are even more expensive. They went up in price. So why couldn't he hit that? See, that's the kind of throw that would just drive me insane as a coach. You have a perfect pocket. The guy's wide open. Just get good mechanics and throw the ball to the man. That would drive me insane as a coach. Now he's in the shotgun, looks to his right, double clutches, drops it off to DJ Moore. That's a routine throw. Moore comes up gimpy a little bit. A little gimpy. Now it's 4th down. So 3rd and long, and again, the money downs, right? 2nd down, he has a guy wide open. He can't hit him for some fucking reason, which beyond me. Then 3rd down comes, and 3rd and long, and he can't. He has to take a check down. That's not high, but at the same time, it's not terrible because you're going to get a field goal. You are, though, on the road. So now you might go up 6-0, but still a 1-score game. And this is Jake Moody. He puts it up and right through the wickets. So 6-0, not tragic, but not great for Caleb either. That's got to be driving Ben Johnson absolutely insane. We got a guy standing right in front of you. Just put it on him. It was the same frustration with Zach and the same frustration with Justin and with anybody who's not playing at a high level. It's like, Jesus, he's right there. Goes to show why playing this position is not easy. But yeah, going back to Buffalo, that's the consideration. Starting next year, if they don't figure this out, have Mo Arian it out. Yeah, let's get Arian involved. I mean, we got a perfect opportunity, right? Garrett's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks, it looks like, with this injury. And we got a perfect opportunity. Let's feature Arian Smith a little bit. Let's see what the kid can do. We got to start making evaluations of certain people on our roster because we need to know how many we need to draft and sign and all this. Is Arian a player or is he just a fifth wide receiver 5? Or can he be part of the process or not? Hey, karate. Yeah, this is what I was basically saying. Yeah, it's bad right now, but we got to give him some time because we don't really have a choice, in my opinion. Bialy's here. Bialy 66 is here. I'm watching Josh Allen get spanked. Pats might have a real shot at the East. Yeah. The Patriots are good, and the reason is that, in case you don't know, Drake May is elite. I've made my decision. It is now final, and these are the facts, and they cannot be disputed. Drake May is elite. Welcome to the new era of dominance for the Patriots. Soon as Mike Vrabel gets his total defense by next year, another year of reloading up the defense with the players he wants, the defense will be good again, led by a Vrabel, and then they got an elite quarterback with Drake May. Bada bing, bada boom. They're going to be competing with the Bills every single year for AFC East dominance. Where does that leave the Jets? It's going to be, I was telling Hai Karate in the comments, the other day, it's going to be 15 years for the Jets. So, and I truly do believe that. So, we'll see if we can snag a 3rd place or, every once in a while, but that's going to be where we're at. Unless and until, number 1, we get a quarterback, and number 2, Aaron Glenn improves as a head coach. So the odds of that, pretty small. But we'll see. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Hold out hope. Don't let go of the rope. Aaron Glenn has told us. Yeah. Okay. Well, now the Bears are kicking off to the Commanders. Let's see how Jayden Daniels responds to throwing a bad pick earlier. JoJo says, Patriots have a great... Yeah, exactly, JoJo. Bialy says, Fields has something wrong. No, this is who he's been his whole career, bud. This is who he's been, unfortunately. Could he be suffering? He really shouldn't be, because you shouldn't be allowed in the game if you're having symptoms or something's a problem. And there's a pretty thorough examination process that's outside of the Jets that lets him go back in. Is it possible? Maybe, but this is who he's been his whole career, Bialy. We're seeing the same things. All right, Jayden Daniels now out of the shotgun, fakes a handoff, looks to the left, throws deep down the left sideline. He's got a man, and it is knocked away a PBU. Now they're throwing a flag. Now, how do I grade this pass? I'm going to grade it as bad because he's throwing into double coverage. The accuracy isn't terrible. And they're saying the defender did something wrong. I'm going to grade this as a bad pass because he allowed the safety to come in and knock it away. Wasn't horrible, but I'm going to grade this as a bad pass. Let me know in the chat if you think this is a bad pass. Oh, they're not going to show the pass. They're showing the penalty. They always show the wrong things. All right, Jayden Daniels now in the shotgun. We got an orbit motion out to the right. They run a zone read off of that, and there's a fumble. Looked to me like the Commanders got it, but people pointing different ways. Old Bill McCroskey, Merritt, Peanut Punch. And yeah, it looks like the Commanders fell on it, luckily. Wiley, the wily veteran. So they've had 2 turnover-worthy plays so far now, and one was actually a turnover. But fumble luck goes the Commanders' way. Gotta hold on to the ball. Ball security is job security, Mr. Bill. Oh no, Mr. Bill. Remember that? Remember that? Oh, they're saying, oh. Well, I don't know how they're saying the Bears got that ball. Well, I guess they did. All right, Caleb Williams now back to pass. Double clutch and then throws. Man, can I get a replay? Can I get a replay? This is behind a little bit. Can I get a replay of this throw, please? Can I get a replay? I don't want to give him a routine when he throws behind. They're not going to give me a replay. I'll give him a routine. All right, first down and 10. Now he's under center. They're at the plus 25-yard line. They hand the ball off to Swift. He gets about 6 yards. So that's a good gainer on first down. JoJo says, right. No, we're not going to get our turn, JoJo. I told you it's going to be 15 more years. Then we can look forward to it. We had our shining moment in 1969, and that looks like it's going to be it for our franchise. Sad, but probably true. One shining moment, and if it came before you were born, too frickin' bad. All right, now Caleb is in the shotgun. 2-by-2 formation. Running back to his right, hands it off to Swift, and he's got a big opening, and there he goes. All the way down to the 6-yard line before he's taken down. So they got the running game going. He's got everything going for him, Caleb. He's got wide open receivers. He's got a running game that's working. It does not look like the Commanders know how to stop the run. Nice vision on Swift there. Seeing the hole and hitting it. And that'll end the first quarter. So, yeah, JoJo, I don't really see us. As soon as what I said, if you were paying attention, JoJo, but most people were not, what I said was if Gerard Mayo gets fired, we're cooked. If you remember last year, because it was pretty obvious that Vrabel wanted to get back in the game, and if Mayo got fired, it was also equally obvious that Vrabel was going to get that job. That was the job he wanted. And the only way I saw us getting back in the game was if we could hire Vrabel, and the only way that was going to work was if the Patriot job didn't open up. Guess what? Mayo got fired. That meant Vrabel was going up there. And then the only hope we had was Drake May regressing or not being as good as people think he is. Well, turns out he's even better than people think he is, and he's actually elite. So I just don't know how we're going to compete with Josh Allen and Drake May and Vrabel and McDermott. And, sure, they might get rid of the coach, but, think about Buffalo's situation. Let's say they have a disappointing season this year, but they say, all right, McDermott, listen, you got one more season to turn this thing around. And for them, that means going to the Super Bowl. But so they move into the new stadium. Everybody's excited about that, although a lot of people are not excited about the PSLs and getting priced out and all that. But anyway, the stadium will open. It'll be full. It's an awesome stadium. And let's say they have another disappointing season again and they fire McDermott. Well, every coach, any available coach is going to want to take that job. A lot of good defensive players, Josh Allen, an excited fan base, and a new stadium, and a solid ownership group. The best coaches are going to want to take that job. It's a complete opposite of us. So even if they have turnover there, and probably they'll keep the GM, I would think. I mean, he's acquired a lot of good players. He's had a lot of mistakes. Kair Alam, maybe Keon Coleman was a mistake. TBD. A bunch of first round misses, but still they have a lot of talent on the team. So probably they keep the GM, and even if they turn over the coach, it's not going to be as disruptive as when we do it, because when we do it, it's a total rebuild. They're not going to be rebuilding. They're just going to be sort of reshuffling. They're not even going to be retooling. They're just get a new voice in the room. And here's a handoff to DJ Moore. Kind of a tricky formation there. Handed it to the wide receiver as a handoff and got a few yards close to the goal line. Now it's 2nd and goal. So they made it seem like it was a regular old handoff, and instead they handed it to the wide receiver coming around. Pretty tricky there by Ben Johnson, and got it to the 1-yard line. Luvu with the tackle. Looks like on the bug that the Falcons are going to the halftime with 21-7 lead on the Bills as we talk about them, even though we're not watching them. And now Caleb is rolling to his right. Looks like he's going to run it in, and he probably made it, I would think. Yes, indeed, he did. All right, so the Bears are rolling. Even though Caleb hasn't played great, but they're rolling. Able to get 2 field goals, now a touchdown, 2 turnovers by the Commanders. I'm still not sure how that fumble was ruled in Bears possession, but I guess so. And Caleb, yep, definitely got it in there. So this will stand. We'll see how Jayden Daniels is able to respond to this Bears onslaught. Oh, it looks like 27-7 now. So Penix probably having a good game up there. It looks like they're awaiting an extra point. Oh, now it says 21. I don't know what's going on. The bug is bugging out. I guess we could check that. Havmo says Bears running mixed plays, semi-unpredictable. Okay. Bialy says, we don't know how fragile he is yet. Fake May, that is. I guess. I can just tell you he's an elite quarterback. Jets are in a continuous rebuild loop. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Hi, Karate. I think JoJo said it best. The best thing we could hope for is Christopher takes over and maybe starts building some relationships and is able to attract, something better over time or something. And/or we get lucky with the quarterback in the draft this year, because we're certainly taking one. God only knows what Muji and Glenn are going to do relative to the quarterback position, but hopefully they get it right. Like if you think about it, the previous regime at the New England basically got the entire 2020, what was it, 3 or 4 draft wrong, except they picked Drake May, and they got that right. They lucked out basically. And I think they've gotten rid of every single one of the other draft picks from that class, if I'm not mistaken. But they didn't do a good job drafting at all. But on the other hand, they got Drake May. And so, that's kind of what we have to hope for. Maybe we could luck into one, but haven't been able to forever. So let's check the actual score. We could put up ESPN over here. No, we don't have to rely on the bug. ESPN. No, we want ESPN. ESPN 21-7, not 27-7. Looks like Josh Allen, 5 out of 12. No bueno. 98 yards. I mean, 98 yards on 5 passes is pretty good, but 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 2 sacks for 15 yards. Michael Penix having a great game. 12 out of 19, 171, 1 touchdown, no picks, 1 sack. And Bijan Robinson also adding 130. So basically, this Bills defense is getting carved up. The Atlanta has 168 yards rushing and 167 yards passing. That's amazing. So I mean, Bills fans can't be happy with this. They tried all offseason to bolster up this defense, and they're getting their butts kicked. No bueno for them. Abmo says Alon likes the Phoenix. Okay. London step out of bounds before the ball crossed those. So they almost had another touchdown, you're saying? Amazing. I mean, they are now all of that, and they're only up 14 points. So that's the optimistic way to look at it. Josh Allen can get you 14 points in a nonce. And so after getting beat so badly, you're only down 2 scores, basically. So now Jayden Daniels in the shotgun. We got a 3-by-1 formation. First down and 10, 14, 18 remaining. Puts a man in motion. Now fakes the handoff. Now gives it to the running back, actually. Bill McCroskey, the fumbler, gets 2 yards. All that for 2 yards. So they got 2 turnovers, and they're only down 13-0. Again, if you look at it from Washington's point of view, they would say, "Wait a minute, we're only down 13, and we already had 2 turnovers. We just got to stop turning it over, move the ball, and get some points here. We'll be right back in it." So it's the way football works. Now Daniel's in the shotgun, and he's got 21 personnel in there. Looks like fakes the handoff, looks to his left. Oof! I give him a solid on that one. Ball took a long time to get to the receiver, though. Nichols, 26, was in there, along with Bill McCroskey. I thought the defensive back had a chance at that one, but just good enough, I guess, what you'd say. Just good enough. All right, now they're in 12 personnel. They're moving the tight ends around. I guess number 11. No, that's it. 11's not a tight end. And they do a end around to 83 and picks up 7 or 8 yards. Pretty good gain. But they've been able to move the ball, even though they have no points. So that was McCaffrey. Yeah, he's definitely a wide receiver, not a tight end. Not a tight end. 83 is Lane, Jaylen Lane, I think. So look at all these different ways that these teams get the wide receivers carrying the ball. We could also do that. It's not against the rules. Daniels runs his zone read where he keeps it and takes a hit out of bounds. That play didn't work at all. It's amazing that we didn't look at the offenses of Washington and Baltimore, especially in the early days of Lamar, and just run those offenses. We're going to make Justin Fields a quarterback. Yeah. How's that working? All right, now you got 11 personnel. Boy, Debo looks fat as hell. Is Debo out of shape or what? I think he's a little out of shape. All right, Daniels now looks to his right, throws. That's a bad throw. Throwing off the back foot. Flag is down, though. Flag down. There's got to be a penalty. Got to be a penalty because, Daniels not allowed to throw an incompletion. No way. No way. No, they're not going to let that stand. Personal foul, face mask, defense. Somebody touched somebody's face mask. Can't have that. Certainly can't have anybody touching a face mask. That's, you're going to put the guy in jail. You might as well. See if this, how much bullshit this is. Where are they calling it? 26. Let's see. That's what they're calling? Again, another bullshit call. We got to stop with these ticky-tack penalties, man. They bring in another extra offensive lineman to help out, it looks like. And now Daniels is going to run with it. And takes a pretty hard hit as he gains 6-7 yards. They got to stop with these ticky-tack penalties, man. I hate it so much. I'm going to do a video about these rules. Not that that's going to do much, but still, we will do it. Jayden Daniels so far, 4 out of 5, 32 yards officially. I have him as 1 solid throw, 3 routine, 3 bad, and 1 interceptable. That's going to be a bad grade if it stays like that. So we need to see some great and elite throws out of you, Jayden. Got a 2-by-2 formation now. They hand it off to Mr. Bill, and he's able to get the first down. So they're at the plus 20. They've been able to move the ball within the 20s. They just haven't been able to cash it in enough for the Commandos. You know what would be good is if the Commanders gave out ranks to the players, like based on how you practice. You're a general, you're a lieutenant, you're a sergeant, you're a private, you're a PFC. I mean, they're the Commanders. Shouldn't they have ranks? And then you could put the ranks on their helmet because everybody loves helmet stickers. Let's be honest. All right, first 10-14, first down and 10. Daniels can't find anybody. Now loses the ball. Now picks it up. Holy smokes. Almost a third turnover. What are we doing, Jayden? Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is happening? Butterfingers over here. Couldn't find anybody. Fakes it. Goes to run. Ball's in his right hand as he goes to throw. Lucky it bounced right back to him. Holy smokers. That's another turnover-worthy play. Going to hurt his grading. But they say Jayden has never lost a career fumble. Well, that's interesting considering our guy is a king of fumbles. Another problem he has. Daniels now throwing deep on the left-hand side. Oh, now there's an elite throw. That's what I'm talking about. Atta boy. That's what you want to see, Jayden. We don't want to see these fumbleias. We want to see elite throws. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to grade this as elite. Let's see. How far is he at? Yeah, look at that placement. That's perfect. Well, yeah, pretty perfect. He's definitely in. I mean, you could quibble and say that should be great instead of elite. I'm going to give him elite. Yep. Atta boy, Jayden. Atta boy. That's the kind of throwing we want to see around here. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to see routine throws everybody can make. We want to see some elite throws. You feel me? We do. Should we try and get Kirk Cousins? No, I don't think we should get another veteran. But I don't think Kirk Cousins is the right one. I mean, we could. But I think the plan, whoever it is, it should just be because Fields is going to be here. That's one veteran. But we should do the Giants plan, what they just did, Joe. Get 2 veterans, make sure they're the right kind of veterans, temperament-wise, teammate-wise, all that. And probably similar play styles. So Fields and Cousins are totally different play styles. So I'm not sure that works. But then it depends on what kind of quarterback you draft or you want to draft. But any which way, it should be 2 veterans and then the kid in the first round kid. And you just do the Giants plan. The Giants plan was the way to do it. No pressure on the kid. You just let him come in, and if he hits all the milestones and if he blows everything out of the water, okay. But otherwise, you just wait start one of the veterans. Doesn't really matter which, to be honest, because you're just really biding your time until the kid is ready. And then whenever he is ready, so basically he determines when he goes in. You don't predetermine it. You just say when he's ready, and you figure out a plan for knowing when he's ready, when he's doing all these things in practice. What are those things, et cetera, et cetera. And then whenever it is that he's showing he's ready, then he goes in. And it could be a whole year he sits out. I don't care. Whatever it takes to make sure he is ready to go so that when he's in there, we feel reasonably confident that he can do the job. If it takes a year, it takes a year. You do the Patrick Mahomes plan, you know. Fine by me. But so it doesn't really matter who it is. You know, just as long as they're the right person in for the system you want to run, et cetera, et cetera. So it could be Cousins, I guess. Could be Cousins, could be Mariota, could be Jacoby Brissett. It doesn't matter. Mo says Mendoza's confidence. Yeah, we need a confident, smart dude for sure. But the football intelligence is also very important. All right, now Caleb up 13-7 now. We'll get the ball back. They bring it out to the 25-yard line. That's where they'll get started. Ken Washington, play defense. Dan Quinn, how about a little defense, Mr. Quinn? So you see, speaking of resilience, I mean, look at Jayden Daniels. They had 2 turnovers and almost had a third one, and then he comes back with an elite throw for a touchdown. That's called mental toughness, resilience. So that's nice to see out of Mr. Daniels for sure. Caleb Williams now moves a man, so he's got 3-by-1 formation over here in 11 personnel. Now he moves him back to even it out, and they hand it off to Zacchaeus. So again, getting creative with these wide receiver runs, gets about 3 yards. High says, would love to be a private in the NFL. Yeah, but private would mean you're not doing good in practice. Like, it would be like if you got the helmet stickers and they were ranks, it would be like, you know how they have the helmet stickers in college and they have those little symbols, and the more stickers you got, that means you're doing all this stuff in practice and whatever. It'd be something like that. You'd have a system where you could work your way up by hitting all kinds of milestones in practice and stuff. Be like an incentive system. There goes DeAndre Swift for a big gainer down the right sideline, picked up about 20, 25 yards. It's the third quarter has started in the Bills Falcons game, still 21-7 according to the bug. Oh, Bialy, we've been talking about it. Jayden, you got to keep trying. They didn't have a quarterback for the longest time, Bialy, if you remember. They went with Carson Wentz, and then they had Heineke and whatever his name was, and they had a bunch of bums. And then they finally drafted Jayden. They got lucky. That's what's going to happen this year, Bialy. We're going to draft one, and we got to hope and pray to whatever God you believe in, Bialy, that we get one. It's the same thing. So every team that doesn't have one goes through the same process. You keep trying until you hit one. And also, I think there's a good matchup between Cliff Kingsbury and Jayden Daniels skill set wise. So that'll be interesting if Kingsbury gets another head coaching job this year, say, which he's a big candidate, right? But let's say he gets a job. It'll be interesting to see if Daniels falls off or not. Routine throw by Williams on a little screen pass. Caleb. That's his 9th routine throw. But so, play caller and quarterback matchup is important. And then, how's the offensive line? How are the playmakers? All that. But the process continues. I mean, the Bears have not had a quarterback for 100 years, Bialy. They're hoping for Caleb, and we're watching him, and they're hoping he's the one, but they don't know that yet. He keeps on running. So, I mean, when we've seen him on the money downs, he has not looked great. And then the times he converts, it's because he's running. So that's not high quarterback play. But Williams, so Caleb might be the guy. But if he's not, it's going to be 100 years they've been looking for the guy, Bialy. So it's not just us. Look at the Browns. Look what they're going through. They could have just stuck with Baker, although you wonder if Baker Mayfield would have become what he's doing now if he just stayed in Cleveland, because he seems like the process that he went through, bouncing around and then landing in Tampa, is what took his game to the next level. Did he catch that? I don't think he caught that. I'm giving him a bad on this because whether he caught it or not, that's a bad throw. First of all, slowed him down. I don't think he even caught it. Let's see. No, that's not a catch. Hit the ground. That's what I thought. So that's bad. Look at Caleb. I mean, that's Zach Wilson level. Whether he catches it or not, that's a terrible throw. This is Zach Wilson-esque right there. So you say, well, that's a first round. I mean, that's a first overall pick, Caleb Williams. Why can't he hit the little screen pass like Zach, like we used to say with Zachary? Mo says, I told Bears fans they should get Jayden over Caleb. I don't know. They're both good. Well, Jayden has been much better over his career. Williams has not been good. No, you have Mo Williams. Caleb has not been good so far. They're hoping that with Ben Johnson, he'll be good after this year, but it's TBD. TBD for Caleb. The thing with Caleb, he makes some spectacular plays. It's kind of like Zach Wilson. He makes some spectacular plays, and you're like, wow, holy shoot. But he has not shown the ability to consistently do it over time as to this point. But they're hoping that he's able to. But yeah, they went with Caleb and they traded Justin, and here they are. So they're hoping they made the right choice. I mean, certainly Fields' play with us has not made the Bear fan, regretful that they traded him. But whether Caleb is the guy or not is still very much TBD. That's not a catch. I don't know what's taking so long. You can't have it hit the ground like that. Yeah, call reversed, obviously. Duh. Let's get these things done quickly, dummy refs. These refs look at everything and they can't see like that. They're looking at everything. But that ball hitting the ground, I don't know. It looks like he caught it, I guess. At the same time, the challenge got them 1 yard, so I'm not sure it was even worth challenging, but still. And now Caleb's in the shotgun, left foot forward. He's got a 2-by-2 formation, look like offsides by the Bears. They do throw the flag. False start, it looked like. To me, anyway. But it could be offsides on the Commanders, I guess. Looked like the left tackle was false starting, but I'm not a referee. And now the Bills have scored a touchdown, it looks like, on the Bugs. So we'll see about if they're able to come back on old Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich and the rest of them. Joe the Jet G says, I'm afraid Glenn would draft a raw Sellers #1 overall. Yeah. Well, let's hope not. I mean, first of all, I hope Sellers goes back to school to take him, honestly, for his own sake and for our sake, because I'm a little worried about that too. But if he goes back to school, we don't have to worry about it. And he really needs to go back to school. He's not ready. He's not ready. He's not. And we're not the team to develop him. That's for sure. We need more of a finished product because we're not going to develop him. Somebody else, okay, fine, but not us. Browns and Jets are young QB destroyers. Yeah. I mean, the Browns, I don't know how the Browns, this whole Stefanski period has been extremely strange, to be honest. They had a good quarterback in Baker. He wasn't as good as he is now, but still, he was up and down, and if you protected him, he was fine, and if he was healthy. They had to get rid of him. And then they went all in to try and get Deshaun Watson. They gave up all kinds of draft picks to get him. And look how that's turned out. And now they insist that Dylan Gabriel's really great. He played terrible yesterday against the Steelers. And they have Shador. And they traded Joe Flacco within the division for some reason. I mean, can someone tell me why they traded Joe Flacco within the division? I mean, was the draft pick that important? I mean, they have 1,000,000 draft picks next year already. It seems a little strange. And here's a highlight. Josh Allen throws a little screen to running back. He runs it in. Touchdown. So they're right back in the game, as you would imagine. Allen getting back on track, as you would imagine. That's what he does. Usually when he's got a bad half like that, he'll usually come out on fire in the second half. It's typical Josh. Typical. I mean, Josh Allen has saved so many people's jobs. It's really quite amazing. How many jobs has Josh Allen gotten people and then saved people? I mean, it's incredible. Incredible. All right, now here's a 3-by-1 formation. It's second down and 10. They're at the plus 40-yard line. Caleb throws over the middle. That's a bad pass. Way off the mark. See, look at Caleb. He's got one solid throw, 9 routine throws, and 5 bad. This is going to be a terrible score if this keeps up. Why can't he hit this throw here? It's just an in-cutting route, and the ball's off by 3 yards. It's not even close. Some of these throws by Caleb are Zach Wilson-esque, and that's no good. No bueno when we're comparing you to Mr. Zach. All right, now we got a 3-by-1 formation. They move the wide receiver over to the left. They pitch it out to Swift for a running play and good blocking upfield. And they're able to gain about 8 or 9 yards. So the running game for the Bears has been pretty solid tonight, I would say. They're getting the wide receivers involved. They're not getting Rome Odunze involved in terms of the passing, but they're running the ball pretty well. Now it's 4th down and 1, and they're going to go for it. And so instead of going up by 9 with a field goal, they try and convert on 4th and 1. Let's see if old Ben Johnson regrets this, but at least they know what they're doing, as opposed to some other coaches at the end of halves that I could name that I won't. All right, now Caleb snaps the ball, looks, and is going to pass it, looks downfield, fires. Oh, my goodness. Caleb. That was interceptable. This is not a good ledger. They're up 13-7, and Caleb is playing like dog doo-doo. Caleb, buddy. What are we doing? He had all day. Great time to throw, and he just throws it to a linebacker. Now, you get an interceptable grade whether they intercept it or not. I mean, an interceptable mark. That's not good, buddy. Boy, oh boy. And now Ben Johnson's got to be going, what the frick? First of all, why didn't he run it? So he showed confidence in Caleb there. So that's interesting. But then Caleb does not pay off that confidence. And also, so he showed confidence in the offense by saying, we're going to go for it. And now he could have had a 9-point lead, and instead it's a 6-point lead. And now Jayden's going to have a chance to go down and get more points for the Commandos. So to me, so far, Caleb is looking very bad in this game anyway. Todd, good night. Say good night to all the animals on the farm. Joe the Jet G says, I feel like Sellers would go back. He rejected to transfer, said he was 20 years old, doesn't need a lot of money right now. Well, he'll get a lot of money at South Carolina. But yeah, he's young. And the traits are off the charts. And you can get paid substantially even at South Carolina. They got money. They'll pay him. And he'll make millions. And I think these kids have to start understanding that the NFL is not the place to develop. There's not a lot of development going on. If you do develop, it's going to take a long time, like Darnold and Geno and some of these guys and even Baker. Do you really want to wait that long and take that chance that somebody's going to keep giving you a chance? Or do you just stay in school, make millions, get an insurance policy on your injury stuff, which the collectives can pay for? Just get an insurance policy and develop in college. The place to develop now is college. It's not the NFL. It's much harder in the NFL to develop. There's no guarantees. So weird how his vision is so bad over the middle. The linebacker wasn't even disguised or anything. Luvu should have had the pick, but they'll take the PBU. All right, now Jayden Daniels back on the offensive. Plenty of time left, 5:30 at the negative 30-yard line. Goes back to pass, throws it over the middle, routine throw there. So far, Jayden having a better game, I would say, even despite the turnover issues. A Bear player down now. Doesn't look good. Looks like a concussion or something serious. That's not good. Havmo says, Bills down by 7. Yeah, it's 21-14, the bug says. Jojo says, I see so many different comparisons for Mendoza. Some say Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins, and I am fine with that. Well, he's more athletic than those guys. I mean, if you think about it, an athletic Kirk Cousins is pretty good, right? I mean, he's not super athletic, but he's more athletic than people give him credit for. Basically, he's a pocket passer who can run when needed, which is actually what I like. If you absolutely need it, he'll go get it, but it's not his first, second, or third thought in the pocket. You feel me? He wants to stay in the pocket and throw the ball, which is the way to do it, in my opinion. But if you need it, if you absolutely need it, he'll go get it for you. He's 6'5", and his athleticism is underrated. It doesn't look pretty, so it's kind of like Mahomes used to say. Patrick Mahomes used to say they underrate my athleticism because I don't run pretty. Patrick Mahomes would say. Sort of the same thing with Mendoza. He doesn't look like Lenora Sellers running out there. Lenora Sellers looks like a fucking Olympic athlete, decathlon person or something. You know, running. This looks like this magnificent, huge beast running down the field. But so Mendoza doesn't look like that. And so because it doesn't look pretty, people are going to say he's Kirk Cousins. He's more athletic than Kirk Cousins. But he does want to stay in the pocket. And that's a good thing, actually, in my opinion. I mean, Matt Ryan was an MVP in the league. Kirk Cousins has been a very good quarterback in the league. So, yeah, if you get a very good quarterback, that's great. But I think he's more athletic than those guys. But I like quarterbacks who in their entire lives have had to figure out problems with their mind and their arm. You know, part of the problem with some of these running quarterbacks is they've been such good athletes their whole life that they've been able to just athletically solve problems. Oh, they're trying to tackle me. I'll just outrun them. Oh, I can't find anybody that's open. Let me just run 100 yards down the field because I'm the best athlete there is. If you think about like little peewees and high school and everything else, all the levels, you know, people like Justin Fields have been the best athlete on any field he steps on, whatever sport he's playing, basketball, baseball, football, it doesn't matter. Whatever field he steps on, he's the best athlete on it, right? And always has been, right? Until he gets to the NFL. So he's always been able to solve whatever athletic problems arise with his athleticism and speed and running and all. And so, but then when you get to the NFL, that's a bit of a problem, or can be, if you don't develop the other side of it, which is throwing. So this kid, though, I think he's had to solve problems with his mind and his arm. And that's what I like about him. I like him. Probably him and Ty Simpson are my top two. We need to keep an eye on Ty Simpson also. Simpson may have the best potential out of this group. And then coming up on them is going to be CJ Carr and CJ Carr. Now I'm forgetting. CJ Carr is going to be very good, but he's just a freshman. And I'm forgetting one. Then you have Arch, who'll probably be good eventually, maybe 2027, 28, whenever he decides to come out. And then you got CJ Carr. Then there's also another kid who's just probably Maeva too. But I think Maeva is staying in school. Hey, Ablab's here with a super chat. Appreciate it, Ablab. Hey Frank, how are you, bud? So obviously it looks like we're taking quarterback. Yeah. Curious to know what is the second most needed position that we should be drafting with our second pick? Defensive end, for sure. Yeah, we need about three defensive ends, Ablab. Think about it. We need to replace Clemens, McGregor. We need at least two, put it that way. Clemens and McGregor. But it's going to depend on how the draft shakes out. We got well, one thing, Ablab, we got to be watching Arian Smith this from here on out. Can we determine if Arian Smith is in our plans or not? That's one thing we can use this season for. The season's gone to crap, but is Arian Smith? Can he be wide receiver 3? I'd like to think so. And he's done everything we've asked of him so far. He hasn't done anything wrong, but we don't throw him the ball. So, and that's one thing. And Kiko Mawagoa, by the way, had a great game yesterday. PFF ranked him at 86.3 or something. I have that video coming out tomorrow. And so, can Kiko be part of this? If so, we got our two linebackers. Then we got to figure out what to do with Quincy. Do we trade him before the deadline? Do we just pick up comp picks when somebody signs him? Do we sign him? You know, like if we sign if Kiko plays this way, the way he played yesterday, the rest of the season, and we sign up Quincy for a couple more years as the Commanders continue to run the ball here, then we don't need a linebacker at all. So then it becomes we need two defensive ends, we need one or two defensive tackles, we need a safety very badly, and somebody else to watch. Ablab is Malachi Moore. Is Malachi Moore a starting quality safety? If yes, that's great because that's one less than we need. So we need a safe. So we need a lot of stuff on defense, and then the wide receiver. We got to see what we got in Arian Smith, and then we need one or two probably in the draft for a wide receiver, even if Arian is a guy. Daniels back to pass, looks over the middle, can't find anybody, rolls to his right, rolling, gets about a yard on the scramble before he steps out of bounds. So that's where we are. And a lot of it's going to depend on, how deep is the draft at certain positions. If it's a deep wide receiver draft, then we can wait till the third round to get him. But if there's only so many defensive ends, well, better grab him in the second round, And let's see how many trades we can make to pick up extra picks. Let's hope a bunch. Daniels over the middle. I'll give him a solid throw on that. Zach Ertz able to catch it. Looks like we're going to go and hit the 2-minute warning here in the first half as the Bears continue to lead the Commanders, but the Commanders are marching down the field. See if they try to get this last play off. They will not. So 2-minute warning. So Ablab, I would say, defensive end is pretty high on the list, but we're going to need defensive tackle too. We got Quinnen, Phillips, and Briggs. That's 3. You need at least 4. So we need one more of those pretty high in the draft. We need 2 defensive ends. One at least has to go second or third round. We need a wide receiver. We need at least one safety, might need 2. It's a lot of needs. That's another reason we got to try to flip some of these guys for picks. So appreciate the super chat, Ablab. Let me know if you have any other questions or concerns, complaints. Joe says, exactly. Ryan and Cousins won a lot of games. Yeah. So I don't know why anybody would say that as a derogatory. I mean, Matt Ryan was an MVP in the league, went to the Super Bowl, lost that 28-3 thing. Remember that? That was Dan Quinn, too, by the way. 28-3. Oy boy. Yeah, but you don't want to. We'll see how it shakes out. But you don't want to trade down. Like The perfect trade down was the Zach year because we already had Darnold. We could have just kept Darnold traded down and stocked up the roster and see if Darnold could have done it. We don't have that situation now. So, I mean, it's pretty risky. Like if the guy you want is, let's say you could trade down from, let's say we're first. Is there somebody that somebody wants to come up for? You know, there's not a superstar lock like there is in some years. There's guys I like. Like if Ty Simpson comes out, then I'm going to like Simpson and Mendoza pretty much even, and probably Simpson a little ahead of Mendoza. And so that's two guys, but neither of those guys are considered, uh, generational, like they always say, like like Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be, or Caleb was supposed to be. People were saying Caleb Williams was generational. I mean, he can barely find a guy over the middle. Um, so, but there is none of those guys. Like the guy who might be generational is named Reuben Bain, the defensive end from Miami, and so, but he's not exactly Hutchinson or Myles Garrett or anything. In terms of draft status, but he's very good. But so who would want to come up? There's all these factors. If you're there and you're really convicted on a guy, probably just take the guy because we don't have the same situation where we could play around with a trade down. And also, I hope we're picking up a bunch of picks before the freaking deadline. Let's trade some of these people. We need a bunch of picks that we need to start stockpiling. Ablab with another super chat. I'm sure you're probably going to do a video on it, but what do we do differently defensively, which yielded success, so to speak? Do we do more zone? No. You're talking about over the years, Ablab? I've done many videos about this. If you go back to the perfect illustration, Ablab, of this is the Saleh years. Saleh had 4 years. The first year we had the worst defense in the league. We had terrible players. Second and third year, we upgraded our people on defense significantly. We had good defenses. Fourth year, we had a downgrade in personnel, and this is all with the same coaches. Downgrade in personnel, and the defense took a few steps back. It's all about the roster construction, Ablab. It's not about blitzing. It's not about man and zone. It's not about the bullshit that the mainstream media is trying to tell you. It's roster construction. And then there is an aspect, of course, of how you use the roster and schematics and such. But for the most part, it was poor roster construction this year, which I identified at the time live as it was happening. I have a live stream where I say emergency broadcast. Darren Muji is making terrible mistakes in free agency. There's a live stream that I did on these days when I went through this and said we're making gigantic mistakes, and nobody wanted to listen to me. Ablab. And I did it once it was all done. The draft was done, the free agency was done, and everything. I did an analysis of all the AFC East teams, and I said, look at this spreadsheet, look at these players. We have the fewest average and better players in the AFC East. Therefore, my prediction is we will be coming in last in the AFC East. What happened? So you got to get the roster stocked full of good players. You got to have good coaching and all of that in place as well. But coaching can't really elevate a bad roster. And then we had some injuries. JJ went out. You saw what happened when JJ came back. It looked a little better, right? Tony Adams shouldn't be on the roster. If so, he should be a backup. We put in Malachi Moore. We looked a little better. Michael Carter had been struggling. We upgraded with Jarvis Brownlee, and we looked a little better because the personnel was better. And they miss a field goal at a 50-yard attempt. No bueno. We can't get that kind of luck, but it's okay. 1:10 left now, so Caleb will actually get the ball back. So that's what it is, Ablab. It's about the personnel. There is a schematic element, of course. There is a coaching element, of course. But for the most part, you need the horses. You need the players. It's just that simple. And you cannot go light on the defensive line. You cannot. If you're running a 4-3, which is what we're running and what Saleh ran, you cannot go light on the defensive line. That is a terrible, terrible mistake. Now, if you're running a 3-4, you can, because then you got to go heavy on the linebackers. All right, so here's Caleb Williams back now in the shotgun. So Caleb now will get a shot at putting some more points on the board. He goes deep down the right sideline, throws it out of bounds. Another bad pass. I think Caleb is bad at throwing deep passes and also bad at throwing over the middle. I don't think that's a good combo. But again, this is just one game, but every deep pass is off the mark. Let's look at this. That's out of bounds. That's not a good pass. Even if he catches it, he's 3 feet out of bounds. Oy. Caleb, buddy. So there's different ways to construct the roster based on what you're running. And over the summer, one thing I didn't know was what we were running, because no one would ask the fucking coaches. Some reason our great beat writers just wouldn't even ask, are you running a 4-3 or a 3-4? So if we were running a 3-4, for example, then you need the right kind of linemen. They're called two gappers. But then you need a whole bunch of linebackers, because you're going to have 4 on the field. And then when you go to nickel, for example, you have 3 on the field, and then you need all the backups, et cetera. So as Caleb runs backwards, don't do that, Caleb. Not running backwards is also Zach Wilson-esque, buddy. Come on, buddy. He did escape the initial rush, which was, as part of his athleticism. Then he tries to stay in bounds and gets clocked. Just go out of bounds, buddy, or throw it out of bounds. What are you doing? See, this is bad. He has the instincts of a combined Justin Fields, Zach Wilson guy. When he's not making bad throws, he's making bad decisions. I guess that goes as a sack for old Frankie Louvu. Louvu's turned out to be a nice little player, huh? But that's what it is, Ablab. You if you're gonna run 4-3, you need 8 or 9 really good defensive linemen. You can't go light there. They're the superstars of a 4-3 defense. If you're running a 3-4, then you can't go light at linebacker, because they're the superstars of a 3-4 defense. So you need lots of them, and they need to be really good. So that's the long and the short of it. We also thought Tony Adams was a starting quality. He's obviously not. We also thought Andre Sisco was a starting quality safety. He's obviously not. So lots of mistakes. Jojo says, I can see Quincy. Yeah, right. So, can we trade some of these people to Saleh? That's something I would look at. Maybe we could trade Quincy to Saleh. They got all these injuries out there. They got tons of injuries, Jojo, tons. So, does Saleh want some of his old people? Happy to give them to you for some draft picks, buddy. Does he want Michael Clemens? He was big on Michael Clemens. He's one of the few people. Maybe Saleh wants him back, Nice. Oh, Sunday's game. So Sunday's game, the difference is JJ came back, Malachi started, Jarvis Brownlee went in. Jarvis Brownlee got a grade of 90.4, guys. Jarvis Brownlee's PFF grade from yesterday was 90.4, people. He was a stud. And you saw it with your eyes, right, Ablab? And JJ came back and made a big difference. And Malachi Moore started over Tony Adams. So we're improving the personnel. It's the same point, same deal. JJ came back, Malachi over Adams, and Brownlee over Carter. That's an improvement in personnel, and you saw an improvement in result. Plus, Bo Nix is not Bo Nix may not be a great NFL quarterback. Let's put it that way. He may be average or below average or something like that. So that was really the difference. But you can see it, right? Like JJ comes back and all of a sudden he's making plays and he's getting he's getting a sack and he's getting pressures. And we need more of that quality of player. You just see it. All right, now we're at halftime though, and at this point in time, we flip it over to K Frank playing the music that Frankie likes. And let's play a little music from a little Staten Island band called Das Frog. This is a song called 360 Degrees. This band is made up of 4 people. The lead singer, Christopher Dylan Micah, who is no longer alive, was my best friend in the world. And we often used to talk about stories and songs that made a 360 arc, started somewhere and then came back around. And that's what he was trying to do with this song called 360.
Expected, citing all the others' wrongs, both in the back of their minds that he'll be back, yeah, she'll be back again, at least for tonight. I'll get some sleep in the meantime, if not forevermore, we'll live on in the meantime.
That was 360 from the band Das Frog out of Staten Island. The bassist, Brian Smith from New Jersey. But this time, go with a little song called You're Sleeping. Forget you're sleeping. This is off the album Body and Mind.
Won't you wait for me? I know you love me. Will you wait for me? I know you hate me. Please just wait for me. What did I do? What did I do wrong? What did I do?
Sleeping from Das Frog. I think what we'll go with now is maybe Agony equals Harmony. Also from the same album. Body of Mind. 1999. Independently produced. By the band. And yours truly.
Agony is like harmony. Sings along with me. It makes me stronger. Symphony of regrets on a dead body. It's like policemen needing up to pick me out. Can't you see that I am alright? I am just a citizen of the night. Entropy is where it's heading. Rhapsody is where it's heading. Up there, it's relentless. It's my friend. Androgyny is a certain kind of vanity. I'm a junkie. I'm magnet. Come alive. Can't you see that I am alright? I am just a creature of the night. Cocaine, butane, baking soda makes rocks. Take me to the hospital in my socks. This is not our fault. One cannot predict a fall. It's a lack of communication that we are all guilty of.
All right, enough of this music. We got to get back to the game after all. And so now is the third quarter, start of the third quarter. Karate says if you trade Quincy, he'll piss off Quinnen. I don't think so. I think he'll understand. They're interviewing Ben Johnson. Very insightful sideline interview, I'm sure. Jayden Daniels, the Washington Commanders, 3-2 on the season. They're only down 6 points, despite playing fairly poorly in the first half. He's in the shotgun, looking. There's a routine pass to his tight end, the ageless wonder, Zach Ertz. Seems like Daniels is at least more accurate on the routine throws, at least than Caleb Williams has been. We're going to call that bad. All right, Daniel's now second and 10, 13:39 remaining. Daniels looks, escapes the pocket, trying to run, and he's going to get out of the pocket and make it down the field, gets out of bounds. Or a first down. All right, so now Daniel's at the plus 30-yard line, moving them down. He's got 12 personnel on the field now, hands it off to the running back. Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 yards up the middle. Falcons trying to hold the Bills back. Yeah, so the bug says 21-14, fourth quarter. Clock ticking down, 7:27. So the Falcons haven't scored at all in the second half, according to this. And the Bills have only scored one touchdown against the old brick Raheem Morris defense. Now Daniel's got to throw it away. That's probably intentional grounding, but that's a throwaway. That's intentional grounding, dude. There was nobody around. What are we talking about? Of course, intentional grounding should not be a penalty, but it is, and that's it right there. You can't say 83 was in the area. No way. Dennis Allen all excited. Cliff Kingsbury, 26.8 points per game, 8th in the NFL. So he's still working wonders with Daniels here, and also had a couple of games with Mariota, who played very well for them while Daniels was injured. So now here's 3rd and 16. This is a big boy money down. 3rd and 16. Let's see what Daniels does here. He drops it off over the middle. That's dropped. So despite the drop, that's a routine pass. That's not a bad pass, but they were just trying to pick up some chunk of the yardage to get the field goal, probably. And it's a good pass. McNichols should have had it. Could have been a touch more to the field side, but I mean, that's a good pass. I don't know. He's got to catch that. And so now they still do go for the field goal. Matt Gay is on for the field goal attempt. And it's up, and it is good. So the Commandos at least able to get 3 points on the board. So it's a 13-10 ball game. 13-10 ball game, and we'll see Caleb back. So many passes behind there. So yeah, I know this guys with the behind, it annoys me so much. Just throw it behind. But again, it's a hard job. The quarterback, the guys who don't do that and make all the routines and then have some greats and elite throws, those are your top dudes. You notice that's how it works. That's why if you just grade the throws, you kind of get everything else. And it's kind of funny that, we got Connor Hughes on X saying, it's so weird how the Saleh Ulbrich defense can stymie Josh Allen, because Ulbrich's the DC of the Falcons. Forgetting, of course, that Raheem Morris is the head coach of the Falcons. He's a defensive coach, so it's Raheem Morris's defense. But I wanted to point it out because It's an example of how when you somebody like Saleh caters to the media and tries to make himself sources for them, a source for them, and is very nice to them and gives them information so that they put out information like this, where they just prop up Robert Saleh. Grant Cohn does this all the time. So Saleh's theory with the media is if I'm super nice to the media and I give them anonymous information, they will prop me up in social media, in their reporting, etc. And that'll make me look good for head coaching jobs, etc. But it's so nakedly obvious. It's just really crazy. I mean, imagine giving Robert Saleh credit for the Falcons defense. It has nothing to do with it. Ulbricht's doing whatever Raheem tells him to do. It's just a puppet. Instead of giving it to Raheem Morris, who deserves the credit, you know. But of course, Raheem Morris is not a source for Connor Hughes or Grant Cohn, so they don't talk about Raheem. You know, and that's one of the mistakes that Aaron Glenn is making. When you're antagonistic toward the media, it's rough. I mean, they were rough on Robert Saleh, and he was very amenable to them, super a huge amount. So when you're going to be antagonistic and do the opposite, that's also not good because they will get you back. I said in one of my videos, never fight a man who buys ink by the barrel. It's the old saying. But it is amazing. I guess Salah's methodology is probably better. I guess there's so many people in the media just want to give him props for things that he deserves no props for. I mean, the Falcons have been investing on that defense for years now to get it to this point. You know, Ulbrich shows up and let's give credit to Robert Saleh. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, how about giving some credit to frickin' Raheem Morris, man who deserves the credit? Yeah, but that's how it works. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's the world we live in. Media weasels, media cheese weasels. Just a bunch of cheese weasels out there in the media. That's what we got. That's what we got. So now here's Caleb on a rollout. They're trying to get him. I don't think they're going to. He rifles it downfield. Also, another bad pass. Boy, oh boy. Caleb has one solid, 10 routine, 7 bad, 1 interceptable. That's Caleb's night so far. Not exactly lighting it up. And this is with Ben Johnson, and this is off a bye week where they had all the bye week to prepare. And he's not doing so hot so far. Here comes a blitz. Oh, there's a routine pass he is able to hit, but it's a screen and only goes for 1 yard. So 3rd and long now. According to the bug, it's 21-14, so the Falcons are doing a great job defensively on Josh Allen to hold him down to 14 points with 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Oh, there's a flag on the play, of course. Got to be a flag on the play. It's on the defense. Got to call every ticky-tack foul possible. Sanders still. Little slot corner. No. That should not be called. Please stop calling ticky-tack fouls, please. For the love of God with these stupid fucking refs. You touched him. That's a foul. No, this isn't basketball, you fucking morons. All right, now Caleb hands it off to Manangahila. And he gets 6 or 7 yards. That's a nice rush. They should probably stick to the run a little bit more. Caleb's having trouble throwing. Stick to the run. They've been hitting the runs pretty good. Now 2nd down and 3. He puts a man in motion. Got the tight end in the backfield. They fake the run, throw it over the middle, and he's got a man. It's Roma Dunze. Nice little play there. routine throw, but was able to hit it and got about 15, 16, 17 yards or so. Seems like on a shallow crosser. It's a good concept. Get the defender all confused and mixed up and hit him in a shallow crosser. That's a nice little concept, I think. Challenge the defense to navigate the traffic, and they didn't do a good job of navigating that traffic. They were trying to pass it off, and they didn't pass it off very well. Now Caleb is under center. He's got a 2-by-2 formation. Now he's canning, audible, audible. And fakes a handoff now, looking left, looking center, throws off the back foot. There's a nice throw. Atta boy, Caleb. I'm going to give him a great on that one. I don't care if you throw off your back foot if you put it where it should be. They also have Luther Burden. I forgot about that guy. This might be an elite throw. Let's see. Mm. You could say that might even be elite. Let's be generous. Let's give him an elite one. Now they have a condensed formation, put a man in motion. They pitch it out to Manangahila, and he gets 3 or 4 yards on the ground. Nice job. And according to the bug, the Falcons have the ball. It's 2:30 and ticking, and they have a 7-point lead. So it's looking like that's going to tick down to the 2-minute warning, and then it'll be up to Josh Allen to save everything. And the clock stopped now at 2:21. So it'll be up. So I don't know what's going on in that game, but we'll see. Caleb Williams out of the shotgun, throws over the middle. Oh, my goodness. He threw an interceptable pass again, but he dropped it. This is either bad or interceptable. Doesn't see Sainer still. Yeah, that's interceptable. Boy, oh boy. Sometimes it seems like he just predetermines where to go with it and doesn't care who's who's actually standing around where the target is. Kind of strange. Now it's 3rd and 6. Caleb in the shotgun. He's got a 3-by-1. Looks to the left, throws it up. Oh, that's a nice play. But there's a flag. But this throw, I'm going to give him a great, regardless of what this flag is. That was a very nice throw. Layered, threw it up, and nice and soft. But it's on the offense, so he's going to come back. But he still gets credit in my system for this throw. So there's that. No consolation to him in real life, but you got a great throw in my system, buddy. He's 11 yards out. Yeah, this was a perfect throw, though, so you got to give him great on this one. Now it's 3rd and 11, so we'll see what they do. They're in field goal range here, but a field goal, only puts them up 6. They're up 3 right now. Caleb in the shotgun. Got another 3-by-1. Looks to his right, looks to the center. Can't find anybody. Scrambling around, scrambling. They got him down. Number 92 with the Shakalaka. Don't come back. So they had a nice play there and then got called back. And then Caleb can't find anybody, takes a sack. So that's no bueno. Gets a little bit of happy feet and trying to escape, and then see you later. Darrence Armstrong, I think that is. Somebody Dan Quinn brought over from the Cowboys, I think. Field goal up and good. So Jake Moody's been good for them. Now they're saying the Falcons are in the red zone at the 2-minute warning and have the ball. Obviously have the ball. In the red zone, 2 minutes, Michael Penix. So that would be a very disappointing loss for the Bills if that comes to be. Best thing would, if they're already in the end zone, red zone, I mean. Havmo says, look like Odunze pushed a little. They got to get these penalties called consistently. There's too many ticky tacks, and other people don't call ticky tacks. You got to get it consistent. We need a nice, consistent situation. So we know how to teach it. We know what we're doing, etc., 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 etc. See what's going on Twitter. Let's see what bullshit the media has for us today. So one of the things that Connor Hughes is talking about, and say what you want about Connor Hughes, he's one of the ones who breaks news, so you got to pay attention to him. Unfortunately, the narcissist in chief. But he's talking about Breece Hall. As I mentioned earlier, Breece Hall put free 20 on his Instagram account, and it says Hall is a hot name on the NFL's trade circuit, according to Connor Hughes. But he talked to half a dozen, that's 6, front office sources late last week, and their consensus on his value was a 5th-round pick, potential for 4th if two teams compete for him. So we could get a 4th or a 5th for Breece. I would say if we can get a 4th round that converts to a 3rd or something like that, we should probably do it. One GM, when I asked about a 3rd, way too rich. An AGM on why his value isn't higher, durability concerns, not consistent tough yardage, rent a player. Hall is on the final year of deal. Acquiring team then needs to pay him equals dropped value. So we could get a 4th or 5th for Breece Hall. We probably should do that, to be honest. Not that I don't like Hall. I do like him, but we got to start restocking. And if somebody wants to give us a 4th, we should probably do that. Remember, we don't have a 3rd-round pick this year because of the Devontae trade. That did us so much good. It was a hell of a catch by Odunze that they called back. And actually, I gave him great, but he did have to spin back around the other way. So it was kind of generous on my part. You generally don't want your receivers spinning back the other way. They're looking one way and they have to spin back around. But 8 minutes and 5 seconds remain in the 3rd quarter. The Bears lead it 16-10. Caleb Williams has been inconsistent, to say the least. Daniels has been a little more consistent on the routine throws, but also a bunch of bad throws and one interceptable. This is a nice return for Washington, gets it out to the 45-yard line. So they'll have good starting field position there. But there's a flag on the play. Fucking flag. There's always a flag on these damn returns. They should really say on returns, there's no such thing as holding. On kick returns, let people hold. This is too much. Watch, this is a holding, I bet. No, personal foul. Some sort of personal foul. Well, got to see that one. Jordan McGee. Personal foul. That was personal. Let's take it personal. Let's see. How's this a personal foul? It's not a personal foul. What are they talking about? God, these refs suck so bad. I hate the refs. I'm going to put in a plug for Brandon Perna's Fuck the Refs coffee. We do coffee with Frankie. Probably a good coffee blend to get is called Fuck the Refs. Go to benchwarmerbrew.com. I have no affiliation with Brandon. He doesn't know who I am. But I happen to know he's got a coffee called Fuck the Refs. So go get yourself some coffee from Brandon Perna, benchwarmerbrew.com. And then you can then you can tell everybody I got Fuck the Refs coffee because they're terrible, stupid, idiot people who don't know what they're doing. I should get some Fuck the Refs coffee and keep a bag of it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep a bag of it here and show it on camera every now and then. That'll teach them. Frankie. All right, now it's 2nd down and 2. Daniels hands the ball off to Mr. Bill and looks like he gets the 1st down. Falcons Still 21-14. Clock seems to be ticking according to the bug. 147 remaining or so. Showing replays of running plays. Very exciting. 147. Falcons in the red zone according to the bug. Daniels now back to pass, looking, can't find anybody who's going to run for it, and he's going to gain the first down. He is very good at running. We know that. Very nimble scrambler. Very nimble scrambler, I would say. Now, Daniels has about 83 yards in the area. It's been all short stuff. Now he hands the ball off to Debo, the wide back, and he gets stopped for a loss of 2 yards. Not a lot going on there. So the Falcons kicked a field goal. So they go up by 10 with 143 remaining. According to the bug. It's close to being wrapped up, Havmo says. Yeah, up by 10 with 143 is definitely a good situation. Though with Josh Allen, you can never, ever, ever count them out. We know that. Now it's second down and 11. Daniels back to pass. They bring the rush. He throws it over the middle to Debo. He's got it. That's a routine pass. It's been mostly the short stuff tonight for Daniels. He does have one elite pass, though. Only problem is well, it's still early in the game, so let's see if they're able to put some points up. They've been dinking and dunking all night, and that's all fine and good, except at some point you got to put some points on the board, boys. They only have 10, but 4:43 remaining in the third quarter. Let's see how the rest of this goes. He's in the shotgun here. He's got a 2-by-2 formation. Now he's changing it up, audibling something. Looks to the left. He throws. Can I get a replay on that? I don't know if this is a bad throw or a drop. Can I get a replay? I'm actually going to give him a routine throw. It seemed like he should have had it. They don't run replays for old Frankie. They do not. Well, the Bills have the ball now in their game, says the bug, with 137 remaining, down by 10. So let's see if Josh Allen can do superhuman things. Probably will, if we're being honest. And Daniels now looking to the left. There's a nice little pass. I'll give him a solid on that. Clock running down to 1:30 remaining in the Falcons-Bills game. Of course, what the Bills do really has no effect on the Jets or our season or anything like that. Just something to kind of watch. Our division opponents. Always good when our division opponents lose to an NFC team, of course. Now they got 12 personnel, perhaps even 13. They hand it off to Mr. Bill. He gets about a yard. Tough sledding. Seems like the Bears have played pretty good defense tonight. As they should. They restocked that defense. They have a lot of good personnel on the defense. There's no reason for them not to be good, in my opinion. 24 left in the Bills game. Clock now moving. 121, 120, 119, so forth and so on. So we keep an eye on that. Daniels is in the shotgun. He's got a 3-by-1 formation, passing strength to the left. Fakes a handoff, fakes a throw, now throws downfield. Got a guy wide open. Now, do I give him great or solid on this? It's McCaffrey. Can I get a replay? Can I get a replay? Luke McCaffrey, that is. Good little draft pick. Helps out on special teams. Helps out as a receiver. Nice job. Looks like he's about 13 years old, but that's okay. 33 yard. So 33 yard. I give him a great. I give him a great. I mean, the dude was wide open. I can't give him an elite pass when the dude is wide open. But it is a 33. Well, but it's 33 yards, but not all in the air. I mean, yeah, that's great. Can't give him a lead on that. The man, there was nobody close to him. So now Washington has grabbed the lead. Although, nope, there's a flag. There's a flag on the play. Flag on the play. 51 seconds. And now the Bills are in the red zone, according to the bug. See, you can never, ever, ever count Josh Allen out. Never, ever, ever until the game is absolutely over. Apparently, the Bills are now in the red zone. So be interesting to see if they want to kick a field goal first and then go for a onside kick. So that was obviously a coverage bust by the Bears, just as I was praising their defense. We'll see if Caleb can bring them all the way back. We shall see. Wow. Falcons pick off Josh. Wow. Man, the old habits are coming back for Mr. Allen, maybe. Probably not, but yeah, I mean, there'll be consternation in Buffalo. What's their record going to be, Havmo, after this? Let's see. Oh, they're 4-1. So this makes them 4-2. So what? Yeah, they're not going to worry about it. This is a bad game for Allen. They're just going to say, it's one of his annual, 2 or 3 bad games a year he has. Big deal. I mean, James Cook had 87 yards. Bijan Robinson Atlanta rushed for over 200 yards. And Penix threw for 250 on top. So that's what's going to be troublesome there. They're not going to worry about Josh Allen having an off game. Drake London has 158 yards receiving, for God's sakes. So Atlanta will be feeling good. Buffalo probably won't really worry too much about losing it. Pass was tipped. Okay, so not even that big of a deal at all then. Great job, Atlanta. Yeah. Great job, Atlanta. So Atlanta's going to go to 3-2. They'll feel pretty good, especially because Penix had a good game, 20 out of 32, 250 and a tud. It only takes 2 sacks. That's a solid game out of Penix. And then they ran for 210 yards. So they got to feel very good about that. 210 yards. And so the one thing that the Buffalo fan is going to be worried about really is the defense. That's what they were worried about all along. And now you have people putting up huge numbers. That's the one thing. And Ed Oliver played in this game. So that's a guy they were missing. He comes back and they get run all over. I mean, here's the Josh Allen plays, running around, throws, tipped. Oh, okay. Well, definitely. But the thing that concerns you if you are a Bills fan is the defense and the run defense. And they had Rousseau playing. They had Panessa's playing, Ed Oliver, Terrell Bernard. So they're missing their linebacker, Milano, but can't use that as an excuse for this kind of a performance. Elijah Moore had a recovered fumble. He did not have a pass catch, however. So, yeah, that's the thing you'd be worried about for Buffalo is what is this defense and why can't McDermott build a defense up? And there's a fumble in this game. Jacob Martin is also on the Commanders. That's a former Jet, as well as Javon Kinlaw, big giant monster. So Caleb now down a point. Let's see what he's able to do here. But overall, I'm sure Buffalo not too worried. They're 4-2. They're thinking, well, we'll get Milano back. Well, maybe they'll make some trades for some defensive people or something. I don't know. Well, the first thing he does is hand the ball off to who is out? DJ Moore. They do a lot of running plays with DJ Moore. It's kind of interesting. I guess he gets the body type for it. 4 yards on first down. Commanders are now in the lead for the first time in the game. Dan Quinn matching wits with Ben Johnson, the offensive mastermind, coming over from Detroit. Detroit hasn't really missed a beat without Ben Johnson, which is kind of interesting. And the Chicago Bears haven't exactly been, the greatest show on grass. They hand the ball off. There goes DeAndre Swift. Takes it out to the 40. Looked like he was going to go much further than that. So the running game's been solid. I think Caleb's been holding them back a little bit. Too many bad and interceptable passes by Caleb. But the running game's been pretty solid. This was a big gainer. 5, 10, 15, 15 or 20 yards there. Ripped one off. They're in a condensed tight formation here. And again, now they fake a couple of, this is a nice screen. That was nicely done. That was really nicely executed. You could tell the coaching on that one. Like there was a lot going on there, but for the quarterback, it was pretty easy. Just throw a nice little routine screen pass, and there's all sorts of eye candy and motion and things going on. And our quarterback just has to drop it off to the running back and easy peasy. Fake it, drop it, easy. So that's a kind of a play I wish we would draw up a little bit because you make it nice and easy for your quarterback. Get some yardage, feel good about yourself, move the ball. We have not been running those type of plays at all this year. In fact, I don't think we have seen a screen pass. Caleb back to pass. Now he's scrambling. Now he throws. I'm going to give him a bad on that. Sometimes it looks like he has no clue what's going on. Caleb Williams. And other times he looks kind of solid-ish. Caleb so far has 1 elite pass, 1 great, 1 solid, 13 routine, 8 bad, 2 interceptable. That one's just too high. Too high. It's too high, man. It's too high. All right, now he's got 5 receivers out. He brings DJ Moore back into the backfield. 3, 2, and he gets it. Wants to throw a little smoke route. Gets about 8 or 9 yards. That's routine. To Luther Burden, guy that everybody forgot was on the Bears. But, solid player, especially a lot of people loved him coming out of the draft. Colston Loveland, who's the tight end they took over Tyler Warren, hasn't really been much of a factor in this game. Well, Komet is also another weapon that they have. They got a lot of weapons on this team also. Caleb now in the shotgun, very condensed formation. Oh, he fumbles the snap, but picks it up, and this is going to be a sack-a-lacka. Shalaka. But he just muffed the snap. End of the third quarter. So end of third quarter, Washington over Chicago. 17-16. And we'll take a little break here on FSPN.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin. On the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow. faint. In the Flatbush breeze, you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway on the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never lay low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go. Always.
So we're back here, and 4th down and 6 now. As the Bears are going for a 48-yard attempted field goal to take the lead. Jake Moody, the recently acquired one from the 49ers. 49ers said, "We don't want you no more, Moody." And the kick is blocked. That's also a problem he had. The Niners. No bueno. No bueno. Denied. Denied. No bueno. 94 just got his hand up. And now you see why the 49ers said, "See you later, Mr. Moody. We can do a lot better than you, buddy." Swamp Ranger's here. Says the Jets will be a dumpster fire until they figure out the. Well, I got news for you, Swamp Ranger. I got news for you, bud. We will not be competing for the AFC East title for another 15 years, buddy. I got bad news for you, Swamp Ranger. And the reason I say that is because Josh Allen's elite, Drake May is elite, and whatever problems those teams are having on defense, they'll get fixed. And then the Jets have their situation, which we got to get a quarterback. We got to, get lucky with that. And so it's going to be 15 years, Swamp Ranger, at least. So it's not going to be 2 or 3 years. It's going to be 15, bud. So just buckle in, strap up, buckle in. Jayden Daniels, back to pass out of the shotgun, throws it over the middle. He's got Zach Ertz. Nice little pitch and catch. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Been mostly a defensive battle all year. I mean, all game. Swamp Brander says Miami. Yeah. Well, they might. No, they're not going to take Mendoza. I mean, they're financially tied to Tua. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback, Miami. And that's why it'd be good if we had a bucket. If we had a bucket of players that we're okay with, of course. But I don't see they paid Tua and that contract. I think he's going to be their quarterback for next year at least, and probably for the foreseeable future. I mean, it would be pretty crazy for them to do that. They could. I mean, anything could happen. But I think they're sticking with Tua, to be honest with you. They made the financial commitment. The contract is bad for next year. I guess they can move on from him after next year, but I think I was looking at the contract the other day. Flag on the play. There's always a flag on the play. Yeah, I don't think they care where somebody's born and raised. What they care about is, Tua's contract. And we also don't know that they're going to have a new coach, so we got to see if that happens. And in addition to that, there's not agreement that Mendoza's the 1-1. So a lot of things at play. I wouldn't worry about it too much yet. Could happen, but I wouldn't worry about it. What are they going to do with Tua? Just put him on the bench or sit the kid? I mean, it certainly could happen, but we got to see who the new coach is, what they want to do. But I don't think Mendoza being from Miami really matters. What matters is whether they see him as their future franchise quarterback. I don't think you can trade Tua either. So Daniel's now back to pass. Looking down the right sideline, there's a great pass, but there's a flag on the play. Now, is this great or elite? Is it great or elite? This was a really nice throw. Daniel's certainly unflappable. They didn't. I guess they picked up the flag, so they just threw a flag, just in case. Stupid, dumb refs. See how far this is down. Stop and go route. Nice. 15, 20, 25. Man, I'm going to give that elite. I don't know. I think Daniels is performing pretty well in this game. He's already got 2 elite throws, 1 great throw, 3 solids, and only 4 bads, 1 interceptable. I think he's having a heck of a game. Pretty much, as far as throwing is concerned. Yeah, I agree, Habmo. That was elite. It was far down the field. He put it on him. So I gave him elite. I agree, Habmo. That was perfect. So elite is defined as special throws, typically perfect deep balls. So it was deep. It was perfect. Gets elite. Nice job, Jayden. That's the thing about, and there's a solid right there for a touchdown. That's also the thing about doing a lot of routine work throughout a game. You really build up the quarterback's confidence when you just like routine throw, just hit it. He's building up confidence right throughout the game. And then when you need him to hit a big one, boom, he feels good and he nails it. There is something to getting a guy in a rhythm, giving him easy throws, just letting him work his way, even though that's not very impressive to begin, as you go along and you're charting it. But then when you need a big throw, boom, he's in a rhythm, he's confident, he's feeling good, and he's more likely to make a throw. I think it's a good strategy by Kingsbury and Daniels. Now you need somebody who can hit that many throws and keep the drives going and so forth, but I don't know. This is a pretty impressive game from my point of view for Jayden. I thought I was going to see more of a dink and dunker, and he sure has a lot of those, but when he needs a big throw, he seems to make it. So that's pretty impressive to me. Karate say the refs mess up. Yeah, they mess up everything. They mess up the product of the NFL. When I make this video, Karate, the point is going to be that it messes up the product of the NFL. And in a world where there's a lot of different entertainment options, do you really want to mess up the product of the NFL because you don't know how to, because the rule book is messed up. There's too many rules. We need to simplify it. They're looking for too many things. And we make it too hard for them in the first place. The rule book needs to be slimmed down. And then on top of that, once that happens, then we need to evaluate these refs every year, and they need to hit a minimum of X% correct. And if you don't, then you go on a PIP. And then if you don't hit it the next year, you're out. I think that's how you fix the problem. We don't want the product of the NFL to be ruined because it's such a great product. But having this many flags on this many bullshit calls, the guy touches him. I mean, that one on Garrett Wilson where he touched the guy, that's not a foul according to the rules. He didn't gain any advantage whatsoever by touching a guy. And Garrett made a circus catch for a touchdown. and it couldn't count because they call some stupid bullshit. It's bad for the product. You want to see Garrett Wilson and those type of players making incredible plays and not have the stupid flag on the field, and that's the end of it. So it goes for all the games and all the teams. So let these players play. If it's egregious, fine. We're going to redefine things, make it easy on the refs, and then we're going to evaluate them so that they're doing it right. You know, in the age of all this video and replay and everything else, we need a fair evaluation system so that we don't have dumb refs running around who don't know what they're doing. You know, this is the age of replay and 1,000 million cameras. And if you're going to be screwing up the game with your stupid calls, we need to know about it. And we need to get you out of here because you're not fit to be on the field with this great product called the NFL. So we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it, man. We're gonna fix it. All right, now Caleb, how does Caleb respond? Well, they're down 8. So flag on the play. There's a kickoff flag. One of the things I think I'm going to do, Caleb, 14 for 24, no good. 177. All these kickoffs, on almost every single kickoff, there's a goddamn flag. We gotta sort this out. I'm kind of illegal form. They had an illegal formation on the kickoff. Oh boy, I'm sure that gave them a tremendous advantage. Also, God forbid somebody's pinky toe is over the line. Your pinky toe is over the line. I'm sorry, that's a foul. All right, Caleb now from the shotgun. See how he responds here. They respond with a run up the middle. It's DeAndre Swift who gets a bunch of yardage now. 4, 5, 6, 7 yards or so. AbLab Studio coming back. The officiating started to resemble the push meeting of the NBA trying to make the NFL more palatable and less violent. Yeah. Yeah, obviously. Because of the marketing side. I'll explain all of it in the video, AbLab. It's all because of the marketing. They're going for international and women. And what's big in international? Soccer. And what does soccer not have? Contact. You know what I mean? That's what those cultures are used to, soccer, what they call football. Here's a big throw from Caleb. Let's see if he's hits it. No. Do I call this interceptable or bad? Boy, he can throw it down there, but his arm strength is good. He can get it there. Let's watch. They're giving me a replay here. So why he throws this, he's double covered. I'm going to call that interceptable. The dude had it. 20 had it. Yeah. Interceptable. That's his third interceptable pass. That is not good. Usually don't see 3 interceptables. Wow. All right, now here's a bit of a blitz, and they go to a nice routine throw there. That's good. Oh, and Swift breaks away, and now he's going to score a touchdown. Jeez. Another good reason to keep it routine. Sometimes your guys break a tackle. Caleb's like, hey, I get all those yardage on my ledger. He gets 55 yards on a 10-yard pass. Sometimes you just got to keep it simple. I would go for 2, Half Mo. You're down 2, go for 2. It's the fourth quarter. Yeah, they're going for it. There's no point in going for 1. Caleb back to pass. We can grade this pass. Oh, he's running around, running backwards, throws. Oh, I'm just going to give him a bad on that. It's too much backward running, Mr. Caleb. Backward, no good. Ben Johnson. You wonder how much Ben Johnson really misses um, Jared Goff. You know, the Detroit Lions haven't really exactly missed a beat on the offense. So what does that tell you about Ben Johnson vis-a-vis Jared Goff? Like, was it more Goff or was it more Ben Johnson? You know, everybody wanted to say what a genius Ben Johnson was, and maybe he is. I don't know. But they didn't seem to miss a beat. Their offensive coordinator is Johnny Morton, Johnny Moe. And we had him over here. He didn't do too good for us, but he seems to do good for them. So maybe it's Jared Goff after all. You know what I mean? Morton did not have success without Goff. Johnson has success with Goff. Johnson leaves, gets Caleb, has not had tremendous success with Caleb as yet. Then Morton goes to the Lions and tremendous success with Goff. Maybe it's Goff. Maybe Goff is better than people give him credit for, really. Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe so. Connor Hughes continues to fillet Jeff Ulbrich, calling it Jeff Ulbrich's defense, not giving credit to Raheem Morris, which is kind of disrespectful and probably racist if you think about it. I would give credit to Raheem Morris, more than Jeff Ulbrich, but I'm sure Ulbrich is carrying out the orders that Raheem gives him very well. Or how about giving credit to like the players on the team? But of course, the players on the team are not a source for Connor Hughes, so he doesn't need to fillet them in public. He's just pumping up Sala and Ulbrich because they're sources for him, of course. That's how it works in the media. That's how it works. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Connor Hughes was the one who tried to tell us that Jeff Ulbrich was going to be a hot name in the head coaching circles. And then Jeff Ulbrich got no interview requests whatsoever. But I'm sure that Jeff Ulbrich's agent sent him a nice case of wine. Sure he did. I'm sure he did. Sure he got a nice case of wine for those tweets. Must be nice. Must be nice. Get a case of wine for a couple of tweets. Oh boy, that's nice. All right, so the score is 24-22. So it's been an entertaining game, a little bit back and forth. The offenses have started to move the ball a little bit more now here in the second half. That does tend to happen. And there's 10 minutes and 26 seconds remaining. DeAndre Swift has 74 rush yards and 67 receiving yards, 55 on one play. But a nice yards from scrimmage game for him. Now Luke McCaffrey will take the kickoff all the way to the 40-yard line. So he seems to be a very good kick returner, this Luke McCaffrey type. Jayden Daniels, very efficient. Although it did have some, they're showing some of these, they're showing some of the good and the bad. He had some turnover-worthy moments there in the beginning of the game, but of course, the mental resiliency then comes through, does not let it affect him one bit. And that is something you do like to see when there's some adversity, when there's some bad things happening. What happens to the quarterback? And you notice Daniels still remains very much in control. You know, you get the feeling with Daniels, he's in control. He knows what he's looking at. You know, you could attribute that to Cliff. You could attribute that to his running ability, which can get him out of a lot of stuff. Whatever it is, you do get the feeling, hey, this kid's in control, knows what he's doing, knows what he's looking at. And even after some mistakes, not a problem. Not a problem. So the all right, now Daniels back in the shotgun. Here comes a pass rush. He escapes it, runs to his right, and is able to get a few yards. Looked like they were going to get him for a sack. Instead, he picks up a few yards now to be third down. Wasn't able to find anybody downfield. That's not good, but able to escape. Now it's raining pretty badly. Daniels in the shotgun. Here comes a pass rush. Gets hit pretty badly. That was not a good pass. Am I going to give him interceptable? But they're going to call roughing the pussy. Personal foul, roughing the pussy. You can't rough the pussy. You got to be gentle. You got to be gentle with the pussy. Miami's going to find a way to win more games than the Jets. Okay, Joe. Oh yeah, that's right. High karate. Yeah, it's like the dribbling thing. Make them dribble to the left. I really don't know how that's a foul. We need to rewrite the roughing the pussy foul as well. You know, the quarterback is the only one who gets special tackling rules. You can't tackle him high. You can't tackle him low. You got to tackle him exactly in the tackle zone. I mean, it's such bullshit. Yeah, this is true. You'd think I mean, they might eventually put a spy on him, right? Just force him left. They try run up the middle. That doesn't go anywhere. You know, you'd think someone would force him to his left. Oh, there he is running to his left. I guess not always. They showed a highlight versus the Packers where he ran to his left. But of course, he would prefer to run to your right, and that's your throwing side. Was that batted? I think this is a batted ball. Yep. Sure was. So now it's third down and 10. All right. 8-10 remaining. You'd really like to get in at least for a field goal range here. They're only up by 2. They have no men in the backfield, so it's going to be a pass. Daniels runs to his right, throws. That's a throwaway. That's a throwaway. I think they're too far for a field goal in the rain here, so it's going to be a punt, I think. They brought the blitz on that one, and were able to force a throwaway. So Daniels avoids catastrophe. Yeah, they're going to have to punt it. Puntadero. So Caleb gets another chance, down by 2. The inconsistencies with these quarterbacks, I guess, is the way to put it. Sometimes they look great, sometimes less so. Sometimes less so. Doobie-doo. Nothing in the timelines. Nothing in the timelines, really. Nothing in the timelines. We got to add these things to the spreadsheet here. Of course, all this data is captured and kept in a formal document. Today's quarterbacks are Daniels. Today's date is the 13th. Yeah. And we got Caleb Williams. Too many Williamses. Caleb Williams, 10, 13, 25. Daniels. Caleb now starting on the 8-yard line. Throws it out to commit. That's a routine. Flag on the play. Caleb had to get a new lid. Kind of interesting. Of course, the quarterbacks have a special helmet, green dot, so they can hear the play call coming in. So we can't just take any old helmet. Got to have a backup coach to player helmet. So 1st and 14 after the penalty. Jacob Martin, 55, former Jet on the field. And Frankie Luvu, former Jet, number 4 on the field. Got to keep track of these former Jets. Caleb hands the ball to Swift or Monongahela, and he gets smacked back. Jack. Good old Bobby Wagner, of course, is captain of this defense. The old man still playing at a very high level. Bobby Wags. Could have had him a few years ago. We decided not to sign him. We don't need him, we said. Well, somebody else needed him. Now it's 2nd down and 16. The Chicago Bears keep going backwards. They're on the 3-yard line now. Pressure almost gets to Williams, but he makes a routine throw that's dropped. That was a good throw by Williams, and his receiver didn't help him out any. But it is raining, so that's no excuse. You got to catch that. Yeah, eating too many dropsicles. You got to stop eating them dropsicles, man, because they're not good for your health. Dropsicles are not good for your health. Zacharias. All right, 3rd down and 16. You wonder if Dan Quinn's going to bring the house or will he play it safe? Brings a 5th rusher. They drop it off and not going to be enough. Zacharias made that catch. But that's going to be too little, too late. They're going to have to punt, and now Daniels will have good field position. And they're going to have to punt it in the rain as the rains continue to fall. 4th down and 2. But too deep in your own end to really go for it. And punter gets it off. Nice job. Good punt. But they're able to get it out to the 40-yard line. So decent field position for Mr. Daniels, who's up by 2 puntas. 2 puntas. Of course, they had to bring you into the broadcast booth with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman so that Troy could tell you they need to establish the run and then do play action off of it. Or, they really need to stop the run and then pressure the passer. Boy, there's a zone read where they hand it and it gets 3 or 4 yards. It looked bad for a second, but able to pick up 3 or 4 yards. Nicely done by Washington. Yeah, wouldn't it be something if New England wins the East this year? What if New England takes the crown from Buffalo this year? I think they're on top right now since they have a tiebreaker, I think. Oh, they're going to sack Daniels here. That's no good. That's no good, Jayden. I got to start thinking maybe, no, you don't need timeouts. And Jayden's now fixing his shoes, so that's not an injury. So that's good. Clock is ticking, but there's really so much time. You don't need to waste timeouts here. Of course, if you were Aaron Glenn, he'd probably start calling timeouts left and right. But that's not the case here. They have experienced coaches here. Now it's 3rd and 13. Daniels in the shotgun. He's got a 3-by-1 formation. Running back stays in, then goes out, gets the pass. So they're just trying to pick up some of the yardage, and he gets the first. So nicely done. Very important play there. That changes the whole complexion of everything because now they can just run it into the line 3 times and maybe kick a field goal. So that was just a nice, easy play. Again, something they are comfortable with and just able to get it over the line. Of course, if that was the Jets, they would have landed 1 yard short. Of course, the 1 yard short is our specialty. Raining pretty hard, it looks like there now. Daniels remains in the shotgun. He's got twins on the left. He hands the ball to Mr. Bill. Like I said, just run it into the line 3 times. And then you're going to force him to either take timeouts or they're going to let the clock run. It's in that middle gray area where you could go either way. Looks like that Ben Johnson is not going to use his timeouts here. He's going to hope old Dennis Allen's defense can hold him. Kingsbury looking around. They got 12 personnel, tight formation. I would keep running the ball here, though you'd really like a field goal, actually. And they do not run it, but they run a quarterback power or quarterback, whatever you want to call that. And Daniels able to make a guy miss, and now it's 3rd and 1. So, again, they're not using their timeouts. Well, then you better stop them. Sweat had him. Jukes him. Problems. Juked one man, and then it was all over. 8-yard gain. Montez Sweat a lot of money. Getting juked out. No bueno. Justin Jets is here. For some reason, YouTube didn't notify me that you were live. I just happened to watch one of your videos. Well, you should complain, Justin, to YouTube. Send it in to complaints@youtube.com, Justin, because I'm sure they really are concerned about this. You got to complain. I would send them a very strongly worded email, Justin. You want notification. Make sure you click the bell, Justin. Make sure you click all the buttons, subscribe, like, join the inner circle, click the notify all, etc., etc. You got to click every button available, Justin, and then also send in a sternly worded letter, perhaps even a postcard, over to the YouTube offices in Consuelo, California. I'm sure they're looking forward to your correspondence, Justin. Maybe send a fax. You ever think of that? All right, 3rd down and 1, 3:10 remaining. Chicago did call a timeout, so they didn't want the clock to run down. Now they're in the shotgun. They got twins on the left, there's a fumble. Holy smokes! These people with the fumbleias. Holy smokes. Just as Joe the Jet G says Washington has us in the bag, it's a fumbleia, Joe the Jet G. How you feeling now, bud? See? You jinxed it for him. You jinxed-elia'd them. It's a snap. These guys never go under center. And it just fell out of his hands. I mean, it was all there is to it. In the rain, poor ball handling. Jayden Daniels is going to be like 4 turnover-worthy plays in this game. Yeah, Joe, you jinxed him, Joe. You not only spoke too soon, you jinxed him, buddy. That was a jinxalaya. Now Caleb's got it. 3:07 remaining. Plenty of time. All they need is a field goal to win it, and they don't got to go that far. They hand the ball off to Swifty Swift, and he's going to get racked up and stacked up. Looked like Daniels just dropped it, Justin, to me. Seemed like they fumbleia'd right out of his hands. Seemed like it was Daniels' ball handling issue. And that's like 4 turnover-worthy plays for Daniels in this game or so. That's going to hurt his grade. But more importantly, may cost him the game. We don't care about grades when we're talking about winning a ball game. And now Caleb hands it off to Swifty Swift, and he only gets 2 or 3 yards. Payne on the tackle. He's a good defensive tackle. 3rd down now, though. They do have to kind of move the ball here. 3rd down and 5. Wonder if they're going to let it go all the way down to the 2-minute warning or not. But it's 3rd down and 5. You figure this is definitely 4-down territory, though. So they got to get 5 yards and 2 downs. They do not snap it, so that's probably smart. They got plenty of time. They got 2 timeouts. They got to get these 5 yards. They're not anywhere close to, field goal range now. So if they don't get this 1st down, it's over. But, I mean, within the next 2 downs, because 4-down territory. Yeah, it's all on. It's Joe the Jet G. He jinxed him. Joe, you jinxed him, Joe. Come on, bro. Why are you doing that to all the Washington fans, Joe? Come on, bruh. You never say any team's got it in the bag. No team has ever got anything in the bag. You should know that as a Jet fan. You jinxed him, and now every Washington Commander is going to be on your case, Joe the Jet G. They're going to be saying, Joe the Jet G did this to us. And they're going to be complaining, and they're going to send you a sternly worded letter, Joe the Jet G, and they may even fax you. They might send you a fax. Yeah, they're going to send you a sternly worded fax saying, what are you doing jinxing us in the Frankie chat? We had the ball game. Everything was going great until you showed up talking about having it in the bag. They didn't have nothing in the bag, Joe. It's on you. Your fault, and everybody's blaming you. And I think you should personally apologize. I think you should send an apology to all of Washington Commander Nation, Commander Land, the Commander fans. Send it to Josh Harris, care of Billionaire Club, really. And you need to apologize, Joe. You got to apologize because these fans have hopes and dreams. They're moving into a new stadium in the next few years. They got rid of Dan Snyder. They had the worst owner in the history of sports. They got rid of him. They had the worst stadium in the history of sports where sewage pipes were exploding and falling down garbage and sewage on people's heads. And they had no quarterback. They had no hope. They were losing. They were terrible. And then everything started to change. They got new ownership. They're getting a new stadium. They got a new quarterback who's good. Everything's looking up until Joe shows up and blows it all up for them. You're going to have to apologize, Joe. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, karate. I'm what's called a natural comedian. Natural. But only when I want to be. All right, Caleb now. 3rd down and 5. Shotgun, 2-by-2 formation. 11 personnel on the field. Goes into the shotgun, looks to the right, throws, got his man. It's Loveland. That was lovely. So they got the first down. They obviously needed that. Now it'll be 1st down and 10. Clock ticking away. They got 2 timeouts. Jake Moody warming up. The man has already had one blocked. It's looking like this is going to come down to a Jake Moody kick, maybe. All right, now Roma Dunze in motion. They flip it out to Swifty Swift, and they gets a few yards. Missed tackle there. And they're very much within range now. So now Washington's the one's got to think about timeouts because there's a minute 26, 2nd down and 6. Yep, and Washington, sure enough, calls a timeout. And if Chicago does go down and kick this, boy, Jayden Daniels going to be kicking himself in the rear end for all these turnover-worthy plays all night long with the turnovers. Oh, no one's going to care if you feel bad. It's on you. You jinxed it. You should feel bad for jinxing. You're going to have to send a apology for jinxing letter. I think maybe take out a billboard, near the stadium. I, Joe the Jets G, do hereby apologize for jinxing the Washington Commanders on October the 13th when I said they had it in the bag. All right, now Caleb's got it under center. He's got 11 personnel on the field still. They don't go with the extra tight end. They hand it off to Swifty Swift, and he's got a bunch of yards, and he goes down, as he should have. Another 1st down. They cannot stop Swifty Swift. He's too swift to be stopped. So basically, they took this drive and took the ball out of Caleb's hands. He made one throw. They made the one throw that he had to get. So that's good for the 1st down. Otherwise, it's been run with Mr. DeAndre. And very little Washington can do at this point. It's 1st down and 10. Washington has one more timeout. So one more run up the middle. And then they're not going to be able to stop the clock. So Chicago very much in command here. At this point, very little that Washington can do to prevent at least a field goal attempt from going up, it seems. Unless they can punch out a turnover or something like that. Caleb now, same formation, 11 personnel. Doesn't hand the ball to Swift. This is very stupid. And he slides down. Okay. Why would you do that? Just hand the ball to your running back who's been running. Why would you? Oosh. I don't like that play call at all from Ben Johnson. There's no need for it. What did you gain here? Just give it to Swift. He's been killing him. You're going to put it in the hands of Caleb, who's been shoddy at best? Or at least he did the smart thing. He slid down before going out of bounds, so that was good. And now what you should do is just run it into the line. Get just whatever running play you feel best about. Just run it. And then take the clock down. 2nd down and 11. So Justin says, interesting note to me, much like Arizona, Kingsbury offense, first year with Commanders, incredible. However, it seems to be falling apart. Well, he's all right, but I could tell you what's going on, but it'll take me too long. Aaron Glenn should take notes. This is how you run a field goal winning drive. Yeah. Falling apart, probably too strong. Yeah. Well, teams also learn what your tendencies. All right, now it's second down and 12. Commanders have, all right, now they give it to Swift, which is what they should have done before, and he runs it through the freaking line. I mean, if we could have run the ball like this, I mean, I don't know why the Commanders can't stop them. You know they're running. So this is just very bad defense by the Commanders. I don't know what's going on here. Fatigue or what? Or just excellent blocking. I don't know. But you know they're going to run. This game's pretty much, well, it's going to come down to the right foot of Jake Moody, and it's going to be a chip shot now. They got no way to stop the clock, so they can do whatever they want. They take a timeout for some reason. Why would you take a timeout there? I mean, the only thing now is really the time. The downs don't matter. Just run a play, run it down, and kick it. I guess it doesn't matter because Clifton says these Bears RB look so much faster than ours. Well, they're not. I mean, Swift is a good back. I mean, but if you give our guys big enough holes, they'll run right through them, buddy. We've seen that. The problem in the last game was Denver didn't. Denver challenged us to throw, and we couldn't throw. So, yeah, that's what you do. Now you just take it down, kick the field goal, and go home a winner. So Washington has to feel pretty bad. Washington Commander fans are going to feel pretty bad about this one. They were really in command, unintended, and they let this one slip right through their fingers. So. All right, so it'll be Jake the Snake Moody. They swap in the K ball. They really do need to get rid of those. That was the dumbest idea ever. But now here he is, Jake the Snake Moody. They're lining it up, 38-yard attempt, formerly of the 49ers. 49ers told him, get the hell out of here. We don't want you. So the Bears said, okay, we'll pick you up. We need a kicker. Here we go. Ball is snapped a little high. Kick on the way is up, and it is good. Moody does it one more time. So the Commanders fall to 3-3. The Bears go to 3-2. And kind of a lucky win for the Bears, but they were able to run the ball really well against a Commander defense that really should be questioned about what's going on here. We should have a better defense than what we're showing here. And then, of course, too many turnover-worthy plays by Daniels. No bueno. Now let's do the charting. Let's see what we got on the charts. So Jayden Daniels. Yeah, that was all on Daniels. Just for the throwing, Daniels had two elite. For 2 elite, 1 great, 4 solid, 15 routine, 4 bad, 2 interceptable, 1 batted, 2 throwaways, and that equals a 2.357. So that's like a B. So Daniel's got a B in passing. Does that seem right to you guys? A B in that game for his throwing. Caleb Williams, on the other hand, Caleb gets a 1 elite, 1 great, 1 solid, 5, 10, 15, 19 routine, 9 bad, 3 interceptable. Oh boy. No throwaways, no batteds. He gets a 1.235, which is C minus. So Caleb with a C minus, which is 1 step away from F minus, and Daniels with a B. Just on the throwing. No running, no nothing else, just on the throws. Let me know if you think that seems right. Or what? So Caleb wound up with a C minus. Jayden Daniels in the Frankie grading system wound up with a B. Just on the throws. Justin says, seems right to me. All right. That's good. We want to know if these things pass the smell test. You know what I'm saying? Joe said, my jinx and the rain played a factor in this game. I think it was mostly you, Joe. It's mostly your jinx, buddy. You gotta issue an apology to all the Washington Commander fans. You know, they thought they had it. They were going to enjoy their evening, and you ruined it, Joe. You ruined their whole evening. Now they can't even make love to their wives. They can't even get an erection. You know what I'm saying? The whole evening's ruined. They're frustrated, and now the wives are frustrated. I mean, everybody's frustrated because of you, Joe. What the hell's going on? All right. Well, thank you for joining FSPN. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to join in on the fun of grading quarterbacks, join the inner circle by clicking the join button underneath this video. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. We'll do it all over again. Thursday night football live and quarterback grading live on Thursday. Thank you and good night.